Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 3 of the GTfusiOn 2022 Team World Championship, as brought to you on Gran Turismo 7, the latest rendition and installment of the Gran Turismo franchise, as produced by Polyphony Digital in collaboration and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Tonight, of course, being round 3, is another unique round on the calendar, and we'll come on to the specifics with regards to the race in itself very shortly in terms of the race setup and whatnot. But here is our schedule for tonight, and we will be focusing in particular on Group B, also known as the second split, if you will. So the second from the very topmost split of Group A, and all of our racing action will be as follows. Times in British summertime, that's BST or UTC +1. We'll be kicking off in approximately 9 minutes time for the first of our qualifying sessions, and that will be followed immediately by race number 1, and then approximately half an hour later, so what will be a quarter to 9 this evening, not quarter to 9, my apologies, a quarter to 7 this evening. You can tell definitely it's the case, I'll get my time zones mixed up, but a quarter to 7 this evening, British summer time, it will be the case we then make our way into qualifying 2 and subsequently race number 2, after which we'll be expecting an approximate 10-minute break at about 10 past 7 this evening, before returning is 20 past 7 for qualifying 3 and race number 3, and then straight after that we'll be going into qualifying 4 and race number 4 at approximately a quarter to 8, after which we'll be wrapping up with an expected finish time of somewhere in the region of around quarter past 2, half past 8 this evening. So plenty of racing action on the schedule for today, and well, we've got plenty to look forward to. But as we do wait to go racing, in the Conte booth tonight is myself. My name is Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on, and I'll be bringing you all of your broadcasts via both YouTube at Paul Walsh on YouTube or TX141TX on YouTube, or alternatively on twitch.tv/TX141. You can see the link available there. Now, in terms of our drivers for tonight, we should introduce our drivers who will be taking to the circuit. It will be the case that we do have our drivers as follows, ranked from the highest ELO to the lowest. It will be the case that our highest ranked driver in this lobby will be Prix Esports' Stardust, representing Prix Esports, the French driver, with an ELO of 1,266.0. It's then the case, going down from top to bottom, we will then have GTTY's Oxan, and will be taking part from the second of our highest rankings here, representing Team GTBE, and the Turkish driver there on an ELO of 1,265.69. We'll then have CBR Magma, and he'll be representing Team INCR, the Italian driver, on an ELO of 1,264.67. And then our fourth driver will be ERS and Nixo09, and the ERS driver from Poland will be there with an ELO of 1,264.23. We'll then have Prix Esports' Sliver 1 from what is the French country once again, and they're on an ELO of 1,264.0. And then it will be right in the middle of the group, WSR's Haraka, representing Team GTBE, the South African driver, on 1,263.27 ELO. We then have Prix Esports' Tiger Hayes on 1,262 ELO, and the Prix Esports driver there from France once again. We then have our lobby host for this evening, and that is WSR's Seb72, the GTBE driver there from France, on an ELO of 1,261.3. And you're probably wondering at this point, well, why is it the case that his name's in red and Nixo09's username is in bold black? It is the case that ERS's Nixo09 is our backup host should everything go wrong tonight, given the technical issues that we can have with Gran Turismo 7. But fingers crossed, and praying to the racing gods we don't have any technical issues. Then to cover our last three drivers off there, ZFS Tiger, representing Team ZFS, and I can already see there in the YouTube chat we do have RBG and also Digital Blasphemy, who are both cheering on ZFS, in particular ZFS Tiger there. It will be the case the Dutch driver will be coming in on ELO of 1,261 base, and then we do have Rodkiwi quadruple zero there, or we're going to refer to him as Rodki from this point onwards, the GXF driver from Poland on 1,260 ELO. And then last but not least, we do have GTD's Mikey 2714, the lowest ranked of our drivers here in terms of the ELO to get in to the second split or Group B, and they are from Italy, with an ELO of 1,259.70. Now these ELOs of course being worked out based on what is the previous two rounds, and on top of that as well, the pre-round testing, if you will, and the submissions from our drivers in terms of the teams that have been put in, with each team being able to submit up to a grand total of 20 entrants for this series. Remembering there is a teams championship, not a drivers championship, although there are prizes up for grabs for the highest ranked driver come the end of it. But right now, all of our drivers are just getting ready to go racing. And I do apologise if I sound a little bit distracted. I am currently having to engage with the lobby host whilst also bringing you this show to make sure that everything is proceeding in fashion, because at GT Fusion we do have a very specific way of running the show in order to try and mitigate all the potential issues with lobbies in Gran Turismo Sport. So in Gran Turismo 7, in fact, we wish we'd have the lobbies of Gran Turismo Sport. So if I do sound a little bit distracted at any point as your host, it is the case. I am most likely reading something that is being passed on to me by the lobby organizer. Now, as for the circuit today, well, we are at the Brands Hatch circuit, located in West Kingstown, in the county of Kent, in England of the United Kingdom. It is the case, as you can see from the circuit map provided to us here by simracingwiki.com. This circuit consists of 9 very tricky corners. It's a short lap around here, and indeed in the cars we're going to be racing in, it is going to be the case that it is going to be a race that is all about battling into each and every corner. Because the thing with Brands Hatch, a circuit very close to my heart, it's only 20 minutes from where I'm based personally. It is the case that this circuit has overtaken opportunities to an extent, but it's also about being able to use the full width of the circuit, where it'll be the run into turn 1 at Paddock Hill Bend, up to Druids at turn number 2, before coming down into Hill Corner at turn at number 3, then into what is Surtees at turn number 4, the run up to Hawthorns at turn number 5 via Pilgrim's Drop, alternatively down the Derek Minter Straight up towards the Westfield Bend at turn 6, and then via Dingle Dell through turn 7 up into turn number 8, and then we do have, of course, what is Clark Curve at turn number 9, which completes the lap. And well, the reason why we've picked Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit in particular is because this round is paying homage to the British Touring Car Championship quadruple champion, the legend, if you will, who races in the series even today, and that is BTCC champion Colin Turkington, who races in the series currently as part of West Surrey Racing Team BMW, and indeed our drivers will be mimicking his success by racing today in the BMW M4 Group 4 machine to represent the M4 touring car that does race in the official series. And Colin Turkington, of course, no stranger to success, and who of our drivers will find success at the Brands Hatch circuit, which the Grand Prix variant is always the final circuit included on the British Touring Car Championship calendar, dating all the way back through the last couple of decades. And well, it could be make or break for some of our drivers before they go into the summer break. And of course, we return later in the year with rounds 4 to 6 to wrap things up. Now, as for our rules tonight, as we said, with regards to the car and setup, our driver shall be driving the BMW M4 Group 4. That's the only car available. It is the case in terms of balance performance. We have balance performance set to off, and our driver's cars have been restricted instead to a power output of 478 brake horsepower and a weight of 1,365 kilograms. Tuning is permitted, so our drivers are allowed to tune the car for their personal preference in terms of the way they prefer to drive. Drivers have the Sport soft, medium and hard compounds available in terms of tyre compound, and drivers' initial fuel has been restricted to 70 litres, so when they get in the car, their fuel tank will be at 70 litres. They will not have the maximum fuel in the car from the outset. In general, mechanical damage has been set to heavy throughout the sessions, meaning drivers must pit to repair damage. Tyre wear has been set to times 15, fuel depletion to times 8. And then looking on to qualifying in the races, we'll see that in qualifying 1, it will be the case that our drivers will have 3 hot laps to set their best possible lap time. In the other 3 qualifying sessions, so qualifiers 2, 3 and 4, drivers should only have 1 lap available to set their best possible lap times. It really puts the pressure on early in these qualifying sessions. In the races, grid order shall be set based on the results of the races preceding qualifying sessions, so that's a given. Race number 1's grid will be set by qualifying 1, race number 2 by qualifying 2, etc. The race start should be a grid start with a full start check, much like as is the norm in British Touring Car, whereby it's a standing start and making sure you get the jump on the lights. Our drivers must use all 3 compounds for at least 1 lap in each of the races, so it is the case where we expect at least 2 pit stops, and each race is 12 laps in total, so we're going to have 48 laps of racing and spread across 4 equal length races. Well, before we get to the racing, of course, it's the case everybody's itching to get underway. We do just have a word from our sponsor from this series, and that is X-Hype, and we hand over to them. Well, as we come away from our sponsor there, and thank you once again to Excite, the place to race, for sponsoring this series, we now do cut to trackside here. We're qualifying just underway, and it is the case that GTV's Seb72 has just made his way onto his first flying lap of this free lap session here, as he rolls his way down and around into Damon Hill Bend at turn number 3, and as the French driver here makes his way all the way up to turn number 4, it is the case. The pressure is on now for our drivers. They, of course, have the 3 hot laps plus their out lap to set their best possible times here in what is the longest of our 4 qualifying sessions. And right now Seb72 looking relatively smooth here as he comes charging down Pilgrim's Drop and heading up towards Hawthorne's Corner. Now, what is the important part of getting the perfect lap here at Brands Hatch? It's about having confidence. You need to be able to carry as much speed as possible into each and every corner and through it to its conclusion. In this case, the circuit is absolutely brutal in terms of punishing drivers who don't have confidence, because you want to carry the speed from each corner. Particularly you see here, as he's come from Hawthorns through Westfield Bend, now through Dingledale into Sheen Curve, and as he rolls his way through Sheen Curve and up into turn at number 8, here's the case at 72 here, really carrying that speed, but you can see how narrow the road surface is, and we don't have any runoff areas. The circuit is surrounded by grass and gravel, so if you run wide at all, put a wheel wide, the car will be pulled off circuit, and that is where things can get very tricky. And as we do see the GTV driver peeling his way into the pit lane, in fact, the signs coming in. It is the case. Meanwhile, ERS's Nixo09 decides to head on around. I think stepped down the hard tyres, deciding he wants to go to either the medium or the soft, but Nixo sets the pace on 131.040 as he rolls his way down in the ERS machine here, and the Polish driver looking good so far as he comes on through. But as our drivers continue to make their way around in this qualifying session, we can see many of you tuning in both Twitch and YouTube. We say hello to Sweelerb on the Twitch chat. We also see there we've got Speckler cheering on Rotke, or Rotke, I believe that's how you pronounce their username. And we've also got there Carlo and Mastro Donato. Good evening to you, Carlo. We also have ZFS Baron cheering on ZFS Tiger, and Kazuya TV also saying hello, and hello to you, Kazuya. And as our drivers make their way around right now, it is the case. I do believe Azutius there, well, unless I'm very much mistaken, just try to get the driver's ID, because some drivers racing not under their username but their actual name. We'll try and get a bit of clarification with regards to the Dutchman in a second. I think we've only got one Dutchman in here, but Seb now back out onto circuit here. I believe we'll have gone for that tyre change to the soft compound, and he's on an out lap. He'll only have 1 lap to set his ideal lap time, as we do see Premier Esports' Tiger Hayes here making his way down Pilgrim's Drop in the 729 machine, and right now currently P5 on an out lap, so deciding to save it all for one last burst. A lot of drivers doing this, to be fair, and in doing so, I think being held back a little bit, as we do see Tiger Hayes come roaring on through, and as they make their way on and down, it is the case. Rolling through turn number 6, they're looking very nice and tight across the apex, and Tiger Hayes are keeping the lap nicely together as they roll the way up into Sheen. And as they come on through, it is the case. Not long to go now in this lap, but that is, of course, an out lap here. Just building up that momentum, feeling where the grip is on the circuit, and now getting ready to deliver the one and only lap really within their qualifying session. And well, our current provisional pole time is a 31.0 set by ERS's Nixo09. We're really waiting for more times coming, as we see Victor 400 there, or Victor as we'll say in short, for GXF, currently P2, but we stay with Tiger Hayes here as they make their way on to this flying lap, and see, as we do see our Dutch driver there, Azutius, coming into the pits, currently P3 on the medium compound, so deciding to qualify on the medium. And that's ZFS Tiger. Thank you, Digital Blasphemy, for helping me go through my notes. I do appreciate that. And remember, this stream is fully interactive, so that way, do feel free to shout out if it's the case that you want to update on a particular driver or whatnot. We're all here for the community. That's what GTfusiOn is about. Really appreciate that. And so now we have confirmation. Our Dutchman there in P4 is ZFS Tiger. So if you're wondering where Tiger is, it is Azuntius. As we see here, Tiger is rolling through what is a very tricky Surtees corner, turn number 4, but getting that spot on, and now charging it down towards Hawthorne's corner, turn number 5. As we ride on board here with Tiger, you'll get a feel now for how much speed they carry into the right-hander as they roll their way on through. Very nice, a little bit of understeer there, but just about keeping it on the road and not carrying as much speed as they perhaps would have liked to as they roll their way on through, and now making their way and coming down through turn number 6 and up into turn number 7. You can see you want to stay as far to the left as possible. You've got to go into a blind corner effectively and just commit before rolling down into turn number 8. And Now coming through the very tricky left-handed, drifting the car through. Now only one more corner between them and success here in this qualifying session. We expect a lot of times to come on in as they make their way into Clark Corner. They come on through, and well, where the Prix Sports driver qualify in the end as they make their way to the timing line. They come across the line, and what's it going to be? I don't think it's going to be pole. No, it's definitely not. Tiger Hayes, they're going P8. Meanwhile, it looks as though right now it is GTTY's Oxan who has taken that pole position provisional over the 130.615. Can anybody there come back at them? All good experience. Turbo Rasta getting it wrong, coming out the final corner and going for a spin. And it looks as though that is qualifying complete, ladies and gents. We've got nobody else out the circuit trying to put a lap in, but we can see it is the case that, well, the grid order then for race number 1 will be GTTY Oxan representing GTBE on pole. Alongside them will be Nixo09 for ERS. We'll then have Mickey 2714 for GTD lined up on our second row with Turbo Rasta alongside. There will be Victor and Haraka on row number 3. Then it will be GTB's Seb and Prix Sports' Stardust on row number 4. And then we will have Tiger Hayes and what will be, I believe, there the Dutchman on the final row. But as we now transition into the race, we'll very quickly leave the race here in order to go racing. We do have to join the race and then leave it just after it started, so apologies for that. We jump out and now we get ready to go racing. And it's lights out and away we go here for race number 1 of Group B's round 3 in the Colin Turkington tribute at Brands Hatch. As we see, Oxan gets a really good start there. Nixo tucked in behind as they make their way down to turn number 1. And as they roll the way on through, it is the case that meanwhile Turbo Rasta there being given a little bit of a nudge by Mickey as they make their way through. And Rasta actually losing a lot of momentum as Victor goes up into P3. And as they make their way side by side through Druids, here is the case that it really is pushed to pass already. But be fair, these touring cars do encourage it as they make their way down to turn number 3. Oh, a bit of contact there. Mickey making contact with Turbo Rasta and sending him sideways, but it looks like he's been able to survive the contact. As we see there, a big concertina effect behind, as it does look as though a good number of the GTBE drivers there getting brought together, and Haraka going up the inside the South African of 2 drivers there as they make their way through. We'll get our data up on the screen for you now, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to placements of different drivers, but we can see as they make their way down here, it is a complete charge for P3, and it does look as though Turbo Rasta battling, well no, in fact Victor's broken away. Turbo Rasta hold off Mickey for the time being as they make their way on through, and Haraka trying to get into this, as well as what is ZFS Tiger there. That's the Dutchman Zuntius as they make their way on through, and the ZFS Racing Team driver, after a difficult start, has found his way up into P7 as they come through, and as they make their way now into turn number 7. Will anybody go wide this first time around? No, everybody keeping it together. And remember, this race is 12 laps with 2 mandatory pit stops. Our drivers to come from their active compound to the other 2 compounds. All 3 compounds must be run the soft, the medium and the hard sports tyre. But as they all make their way through the final corner here, you see Haraka defending whilst also going on the offence. And as they make their way into pits, we've got a couple of drivers coming in, and it looks like ZFS Tiger, they're coming in very late. Stardust coming on in as well. They're all going to switch off the hard tyres. Zunti is coming off the medium. So after 1 lap, it is GTTY Oxan representing GTB leading ahead of ERS and Nixo in P2, followed by Victor in P3. Then we have Turbo Rasta P4 after a bit of a knockabout start for the Italian driver. Prix Sports is Tiger Hayes P5, and then we do have GTB's Seb 72 in P6. They make the way down the round. Coming out the pit lane, we have GTB's Haraka currently in P7 ahead of ZFS Tiger, or Zuntiers in P8, as we have the representative from GTD of Mickey 2714 in P9 and Prima Stardust in P10 here as they all make their way around. But keep in mind, our last 4 drivers have already taken their first pit stop. They have come off the hard compound, or in the case of Zuntiers, come off the medium, and now we'll wait to see how the strategy plays out between the rest of our drivers as they make their way on around here on lap number 2. Now, in terms of what we've been hearing down the paddock, doing a little bit of snooping before today's race, it does seem as though the hard tyre is the one you only want to do 1 lap on. The medium has quite a bit of life in it by comparison. It's quite a good tyre here, and meanwhile the soft is the fastest of the tyres, but it's also the one that wears the most aggressively. So I do think we're going to be seeing quite a few laps on the medium. We'll probably see 4 to 5 laps on the soft as well, but only 1 lap on the hard for most drivers. drivers, but also given the fact that our drivers have been restricted to a 70-litre fuel tank for the start of the race, I do wonder if we're going to be seeing some drivers running a bit off the optimum pace, doing some fuel saving with eco modes in the car. So fuel maps 2 and 3 in particular could be useful rather than fuel map 1. But what we can see here is going on to lap number 3. Here's the case the Turkish driver Oksan, who's leading right now, 4 tenths clear of ERS's Nixo09. These two have really setting the pace up front, and I do believe they are on the soft compound, as we hear that Seb is into the pits from P6. He's decided to do 2 laps on the hard tyre, and we see Azuntia's in as well, and I think it's listed as the medium. I think he actually came in on what was the hard tyre and has gone to the medium, unless it's a mistake in the pit lane. But Stardust comes on through here, and Seb has just gone out ahead, as we see quite a lot of smoke there coming off of Mickey's car. Not sure what that was all about, but it looks as though whatever was wrong with the car has been fixed for the Italian driver. But we can see there the fact that they've gone for that early undercut off the hard to the medium has enabled them to jump ahead of the Frenchman of GTB Seb as they make their way around on lap number 3. But keep in mind that Seb will have better tyres later on in this race and will be able to use them as they roll their way on through. But as they come charging on around right now, we do cut from our P8 driver all the way up to our race leader, and well, in fact we cut to our P3 driver here. Let's not forget about the fact we have Victor here making his way through, the Polish driver, the GXF driver, rolling his way up into turn number 7 right now, and looking very comfortable, to be fair. Right now running a good pace, a 132.9 that last lap. Our leaders by comparison, however, running in the 131s, but again Victor may be on the medium as he rolls his way down towards turn number 9, so it could be the case the 2 leaders are pushing one another quite aggressively. But you can see here how in fact the Oksan has just opened that gap up to 7 tenths a second. Ran a bit wide there coming up the final corner, had to lift off the throttle, so the gap has come down to 6.5 tenths, and Nixo really trying to close that gap up as they come charging down and around this time. I think the Polish driver will be of 2 minds here, whether he wants to push hard or whether he wants to try and now protect the car a little bit and try to extend this stint as they make their way on around. Because whilst it isn't a long race here, the overall race time, if you have the pit stops in, only about 19.5 minutes. And right now those 12 laps will all feel as though the car's on edge, and we can see that Oksan really pushing the limits coming out of hill, as we also see Nixo doing the same. But as Victor comes out Graham Hill bend and almost gets it a little bit wrong there, taking a bit too much grass on that exit curb and almost losing the rear, and Turbo Rasta doing the same. You can see Tiger Hayes behind in P5, the Prix Esports driver, keeping it very compact coming out the corner as Turbo Rasta goes a bit deep, and in doing so he loses a bit of the momentum. And now will Tiger Hayes come for the move for P4 here as they make their way down towards Hawthorne's corner. They come down for a Pilgrim's drop, and as they come charging underneath the gantry, brilliant camera angle there. It is, in case gives you a feel for the speed. You can see Turbo Rasta going defence in the middle of the road, and that's the thing with Brands Hatch as well. It is a narrow circuit, you can defend quite easily around here, and Tiger Hayes will know all about that. The Premier Esports drive, of course, Premier Esports racing not just in this series but also the GT World Series, with an absolutely stacked roster of drivers, and they will have that knowledge. Indeed, all our drivers racing in Group B, for them to be competing in the second split, they will be running that professional esports level. As we see Tiger Hayes there just getting a little bit of snap oversteer on the exit of turn number 7 as they come through turn 8 here. The battle for P4 intensifying, these two drivers pushing one another as we see Nixon and Oksan into the pits on the lead of the race. 26 and 25 litres of fuel still in the car respectively. Victor still going on out there, and we see Tiger Hayes coming on in, whereas Turbo Rasta has gone on long. So Tiger Hayes coming off of the soft as well, but Rasta staying out there, Victor staying out there. What about Haraka? Where is the South African driver? He's making his way out of the final corner as we see Nixo has put some fuel in the car. Haraka, however, goes on here, and Oksan also putting some fuel in the car. They both come back on out on the circuit. And Haraka right now, P5, rolling on through here as the South African driver as he makes his way onto lap number 5. GTB Seb behind the 2 GTB drivers, I think, pushing one another on. And as they come charged on through, it is the case, both working furiously at the steering wheel. And we can see that Sweet Love saying in the Twitch chat, apologies, but I'm off to watch the Formula 1 in calendar. Have a great evening and good luck to everyone racing. And have a great evening chat there from Sweet Love, where it is the case, Love. A little bit disappointed you ran away to Formula 1, but completely understand. That's no problem. Do enjoy. For those of you who are joining us and managing to avert your eyes from the Formula 1, it is the case. We've got some fast and furious racing here, albeit we don't have any rain on the forecast compared to the Canadian qualifying yesterday, but it is the case. We have got an abundance of overtakes and battling action to come, as we do see Seb here really trying to now close down his teammate. And behind you can see ZRS Tiger there, or Zuntius, as he makes his way through Hawthorne's corner. It is the case the Dutchman here really putting some pressure and actually running really strong pace at this point in the race, 32.0. Although I do get the feeling, having made 2 pit stops already, the Dutchman may be on a set of softs that he's going to try and make last to the end of this race, and that's going to be going some. Oh, good speed, goes a bit wide there. Going into turn number 7, but gets the car packed together, and you can see running a little bit deep through turn 7. Meanwhile, we do have our leader coming in, and that is Victor, who goes to the service. He's going to come off the softs. What tyre will he go to? He makes his way out the pit lane. A good pit stop. Goes to hard. That'll be for a single lap there. You can see he hasn't put any fuel in the car, but it does look as though Oxan has just got ahead. And Victor actually with a quick stop. This has really worked out for the Polish driver there. As meanwhile, speaking of another Polish driver in the ascendancy, it is the case that Nixo has gained P2 of Oxan. That's happened off screen. And Turbo Rasta there running very slowly, the Italian. But to be fair, the INC driver is on a very different strategy, and it is the case. I think his tyres are almost shot here as he makes one through, and you can see the lap times on the right hand side of your screen. He's dropping a second a lap. It is the case, those tyres, oh goodness me, are literally on the limit there in terms of the width of the circuit. There's contact with Oxan, and Turbo Rasta is given a knock towards the tyre barrier there. I think there might have been a bit of latency contact involved in that, but the Italian driver having a bit of a moment, and well, that plan that the INC driver was using has all gone astray, and I think he will be submitting a little bit of a report about that to the stewards if that contact was as we saw it on screen. It is the case, the Italian driver right now, we won't know what his strategy was in terms of how it will play out, but I suspect he was trying to go as long as possible in order to give himself the best possible tyres and the lightest possible car come the end of the race. But meanwhile, we can see ZFS Tiger here has found his way past Seb and Haraka, and well, that's happened whilst we're focusing on that battle for the lead. And well, the Tiger driver, the Tiger is really flying here for ZFS as he makes his way through turn number 7, takes a bit too much apex curve, almost launches the car off the road there, but it shows you how hard he's pushing. And right now the Dutchman really trying to go chasing after P4 as a minimum. I think he might have his sights set on P3 as he makes his way down towards turn number 9. But as he comes right on through here, we complete the halfway point of the race when they cross that timeline, and we can see ZFS Tiger into the pits, Turbo Rasta into the pits as well. And what was Rasta planning? He's coming off the medium, so he decided to start on the medium and go long. Meanwhile, Victor is going to come off the hard. They're putting the fuel. You can see the fuel gun on the car right now. They're putting the fuel for the rest of the race, we would presume, but where's that going to release him? As we see GTD's Mickey coming on through, and as he makes his way across into turn number 1, into Paddock Hill Bend there, understeering a little bit wide. We've still got drivers in the pits. We see Stardust coming on through P7. Turbo Rasta has come back out in P8 after that long stint on the medium. And well, what about Victor? Well, Victor has put the fuel in the car. He's put 70 litres in, and it looks like the Polishman here down in P9 is now going on. That'll be fuel to go to the end, but keep in mind he's got to run the soft, and he's still got to run the hard tyre. In fact, I think he's already had 2 pit stops. My apologies. No, he started on the soft. He's then done a lap on the hard, so he's only got the medium to go. Here's Victor. Meanwhile, Turbo Rasta has still got to run the soft and the hard. My apologies. And right now, I get the feeling that Rasta, given the fact he's had such a long pit stop, has gone to the hard and taken the fuel to go with it, and then he'll push on for the soft at the end as he makes his way down towards what is turn number 6. We cut away from our Italian driver here all the way up to our leader, and as we make our way on through, it is the case that Iris Nixo 09 right now leading this race. He took the lead off of GT Wines. Oxan represents GTBE earlier on in this race, and right now Nixo trying to break away here as he comes down into turn number 1. A little bit of snap oversteer on entry there. You can see the car just started to wiggle away from him. I think it's the case just feeling as though that brake bias is set quite towards the rear of the car, given tuning is permitted, and therefore drivers are allowed to adjust the brake bias. But Nixo, they're running a very loose setup under braking and corner entry, and that may just come back to haunt him a little bit later on, depending on how warm those tyres become. As we see Seb 72 and Haraka both from GTB are into the pit from P5 and P6. They'll drop down the order to an extent, but as this race continues to push on, it is the case that right now we do see Oxan here trying to close down the driver in front and looking rather fast and furious as he does so here. But the gap between the two of them right now stabilising around 1.5 to 1.6 seconds, as we do see that we're hearing that both Seb and Haraka have come out of the pit with a topped up fuel tank and on the soft tyre, so they'll go to the end on the soft now and they'll have that optimum pace. But meanwhile, these two leaders do of course still need to make their final pit stop, as we see the Turkish driver here is trying to close down on Nixo, but it seems as though it's the latter half of the lap where the GTBE driver is the faster of the two, but only by a couple hundredths, if that. Although I say that, and he loses the pace through turn number 7 and coming into turn 8. It's very close between the two of them. Meanwhile, Prix Sports' Tiger Hayes here in P3 right now running and what is around the 34s. It is the case the Frenchman looking good for a potential P3, especially after what happened to Turbo Rasta, where the INC driver was involved in that incident, the INCR driver. And right now our leaders are into the pit. Will Tiger Hayes come in as well? We will wait and see as he makes his way on around, and as he comes through the right-hander here, turn number 9, will he peel on in or will he stay out? No, he's going to peel on in. Sure, he's going a bit too slowly to exit the corner there on the racing line, and he comes on in, but he makes contact with the wall, quite heavy contact with the wall, and I think that might be some repair work to the car, but he saved a lot of fuel as Tiger Hayes. As meanwhile we see here it's a change of place in the lead. It was a battle on the fuel guns, and the Turkishman at GT2i Oxan has come out your leader on the soft tyre with ERS Nixo 09 behind, but it is the case Oxan's only got 35 litres in the car, Nixo's got 44 litres. It's the case the Polishman has loaded the fuel to go racing. Meanwhile Oxan has decided to go for the fuel saver right at the end. The gap has reversed by 2.6 seconds, so much that it's now Oxan who has an advantage of 1.1 seconds as they've only got 4 laps to go. Meanwhile Tiger Hayes has come back out, but Victor's looking up the inside here into turn number 2. Into Druids they come, and as they do, Victor up the inside. Tiger Hayes on cold tyres, he's got to try and get them turned on, and it's not working out. And we can see ZFS Tiger here trying to look for the move as well for P4, but he can't quite find it as the strategies overlap with one another, and now the true story comes on out. But ZFS Tiger not giving up. He's going to look for the inside move up into what is Surtees corner, and as he makes his way into turn number 4, he goes in nice and early on the inside line, forces Tiger out wide there, as is the way you overtake into Surtees. No contact between the two of them, and as they now make their way down through Pilgrim's Drop into Hawthorne's corner, it is the case the Dutchman has gained another place, and he's making the strategy of 1 lap on the hard and 1 lap on the medium. It is the case he's making that strategy work, although I say that it may be the case he's actually had a little bit more than 1 lap on one particular compound, given the fact that we can see one of his lap times is registered as a 2:02. But right now, who are we to say as the Dutchman is continuing? Well, he's trying to make the move here on Victor, and Victor under huge pressure, but surely not too wide here into turn number 7. No way. It is the case going through Dingle Dell. We've seen what happens when you go side by side there through Dingle Dell up into turn 7, but ZFS Tiger's trying to go around the outside, but there's not enough room, and Tiger Hayes now comes back up the inside here, but he'll be on the outside in the run towards Clark Curve, and Tiger Hayes takes the lead of the position for turn 4, but ZFS Tiger back on the inside here, and as they battle their way on through, you can see Seb also get into the mix. It's going to be 3 wide on the start-finish straight as they go to lap number 10, but as they do, Seb here, I think he'll recognise that 3 does not go to 1 at Paddock Hill Bend, and as they make the way on through, it is the case that Seb's going to try and go around the outside. This is brave stuff from the Frenchman. In fact, he's got the momentum. Surely he's going to cut back to the inside up into Druids Bend, and as he does so, it's the case he's going to look up the inside. There's a bit of contact, and it looks as though they've settled their differences. I think he's backed off the throttle there 9. If he put the throttle down any further, he would have spun the ZFS driver, and you can see Harriker just tucking him behind. But the Dutchman really now a big thorn in the side of the GTBE drivers who've got the pace to get past and go for P3. But they've got to deal with the fact they've got a Dutchman here who's trying to hold on. But right now, it looks as though the Frenchman of 772 has found his way throughout the inside, much like we saw earlier on. ZFS Tiger doing the same on Tiger Hayes. But as they make their way now down towards Hawthorne's corner once again, it's the case with 2.5 laps to go. This battling continues, and well, the battle for P3 ever close. We've got 5 drivers separated by only 1.5 seconds. You see them all in the camera shot, and look further back, there's GTD's Mikey 2714, the Italian driver here, also closed up. He's only 1.6 seconds off, and he's flying right now in terms of pace as well, so he could get involved in this, as Prima Stardust and Turbo Rasta right at the back, and Rasta on that strategy that was compromised in the end has not made it work. But meanwhile, we cut back to our leader here of Oxan, as we can see he makes his way through turn 1 up towards 2, and it is the case that Nixo is falling back. The gap has opened up to 1.3 seconds. I think the Turkish driver here has played this right, but we will keep our eyes peeled on that, as meanwhile the battle for P3 rages on here, but you can see Victor holding on for now. He's got 2 laps to go here as he goes across the timeline onto the penultimate lap, and as he rolls his way into Paddock Hill Bend, Tiger Hayes has got some pressure in the form of GTB's Seb 72 as the Prima Esports driver here holds on for now. I think he'll be trying to stay in the slipstream of Victor for as long as possible here. The tone not too strong at Brands Hatch, but can be effective on the straights, and as they make the way down out of Druids Bend and into turn number 3 in race number 1 here of round 3 of Group B, it is the case that you can see Tiger Hayes having to think about going for the move but also defend. He takes a peek to the inside into Surtees, but it's not enough here, as we see there Seb goes to the move instead, and as they roll the way on through, it is the case that Seb gets ahead, but a little bit of oversteer on exit just costs him the momentum he needs to cement the position. Now will he put the car in the middle of the road? Will he have to defend on the inside? They make the way into Pilgrim's Drop. You can see the Seb defence the inside into Hawthorne's corner. Further back, we see it's the case that ZOS Tiger here in P6. There's a bit of dust being kicked up. And there's some contact between the drivers. In fact, oh, goodness me. And it's all kicked off. And both Mickey and also Haruka both into the wall. And I do wonder what's happened there. I think Haruka just involved in that contact as meanwhile our leaders are in. And well, we forgot about the fact they had one more stop to go. But it is the case that there's contact there. And now, well, the battling for P3 here, I think is going to literally gift our leaders the ability to take leaders. As we see Nixo, the reason he took on more fuel as he goes on to the final lap, the reason he took the fuel was in preparation for one more stop to go onto the hard tyre for a lap, and he's just jumped Oxan by the best part of 3.6 seconds. So the Polish driver has come on back here through the strategy, and Tiger Hayes into the pits. I think that might be some damage on the car, but right now you can see GTV 772 drifting his way through Paddock Hill Bend in P3, and he's clear of the carnage behind, and Victor, having lost that place coming out of Hawthorne's corner, it is the case right now he's under pressure from ZMS Tiger. Oh, goodness me, there's contact there, and Tiger peels off the road there to stay clear. I think respect to the fact that he gave a tap to the back of Victor, that's great sportsmanship being shown, but that means that GTD's Mikey 2714 has just gained 2 places in one corner without even having to dare to make a move, and the Italian driver now trying to chase down Seb, but I think he'll take P4 with both hands and say thank you very much as he makes his way through Surtees corner here, and as he comes charging up the hill, we look from P4 to our leader once again. Well, right now ERS is Nixo09. He's played this very well in strategy after getting onto that front row with Oxan and the run to turn 1. It saw the GTB driver leading. It is the case the ERS driver has made it work through strategy, and as he comes through turn number 8, it's a sign of things to come. And I think many a driver will be wary now of how the strategy has played out, for as he comes into the final corner here, it's only 100 meters to go, and as he makes the final corner nice and clear in race number 1 tonight, it will be Nix09 representing Team ERS who takes the win here in race 1 of round 3 in the GTfusiOn Team Championship. And we can see that GTV's representative GTY Oxan comes home P2, and then it will be Seb72 who makes it a double for GTV on the podium as he comes across the line in P3, in a hard-fought P3 to say the least. As he comes up through, it'll be GTD's Mickey 2714 P4, and it will be a Victor from GXF in P5 ahead of what is, oh goodness me, and on the, literally on the line, Prix Esports' Stardust took away P6 from what was there, I believe, TFS Tiger, but I think TFS Tiger there is being demoted places. I'm not sure why, as we see Turbo Rasta approach P7, Tiger Hayes in P8, Zunti is P9 in the end, and then we have Haruka coming across the line, and in fact, Haruka P9, did Zuntius not take a mandated tyre? I think it may be the case that something's gone a bit wrong there, but that is race number 1, ladies and gentlemen. Close racing throughout, but in the end, congratulations to our podium finishers, in particular P3 GTB 772, GTB's GTTY Oxan P2, and ERS's Nix09 taking the win in race number 1. A brilliant race, plenty of moves, and now we get set for qualifier 2 and race number 2 to follow practically immediately after, as we now just wait for the transition out of the race. And do let me know in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, what was your favourite moment, as we do say hello there to Igor Piazeski in the YouTube chat. Hope you're doing well, Igor, and also to Lorenzo Bertotti in the YouTube chat. And we see Specker there cheering on Victor in particular for what is GXF. But right now we are just waiting for our drivers to be called in. And there, that is the race complete, ladies and gentlemen. A fantastic race. And now we wait for race number 2, and it will be another 12-lap race preceded by a 1-lap qualifying shootout. But we'll wait for confirmation from our lobby host as to how things will be run here. As meanwhile, we just check in with the stewards, and we don't have anything at the moment, as we are just waiting to see what will happen next, first and foremost. I think everyone's being asked to save the replay, and I don't think we have the ability to do so. Yes, we do in fact have the ability to do so. Well, there we go, that's good news. And now we do just wait for the switch over, and we can see there Zuntiers saying the hard was not on. I think it may be the case they forgot to take the hard tyre, which is very unfortunate. But of course, that'll be something which, whilst they lost out places, they'll know where their pace is, and they'll look to capitalise on that in the next race. As we do also say hello there to Davide Spiaghi in the YouTube chat, saying via Rastone. And well, hope you're doing well, Davide, as we now just wait for the next race. And it will be the case, ladies and gentlemen, that we will be opening a new lobby for a Qualifier 2 and race number 2. So we will be right back within the next 2 to 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss the next race. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and ready to go racing once again here, and it is now time for qualifying. So as we do look trackside, it is the case. This is qualifier 2 for race number 2, and our drivers only have one lap available to them as they make their way on around the Brands Hatch circuit. It is the case that we can see Seb72 has already made his way out into circuit, as we can see there Kelvin Phillips saying wash hands emoji. Indeed, if you've been to the bathroom, Kelvin, in between the race 1 and this build up to race number 2, it is the case you should always wash your hands, especially with the whole aftermath of COVID-19. But we can see Seb72 right now pressing on, as we see GTV's Haraka here, the South African driver, also following suit. They're on out laps right now as they are just building up towards what is the second of the most important laps in these sessions. Now, of course, those qualifying laps, given how difficult it is to overtake here, but we've seen plenty of overtakes, to be fair, because of the strategic nature of these races, whereby we have 3 more races to go, all 12 lap races, and all races requiring our tyres to use the sports medium, the sports soft, and the sports hard compounds, and therefore those pit stops come in abundance. There's also a major fuel saving element here, or an all-in element to the driving, where you want to take on extra fuel in the pits. You name it, there's a little bit of jeopardy left, right and centre. And as we do look further down the order here, we see Oxan coming on through. We've also got Prima Esports' Tiger Haze. We've also got Victor here from GXF. We also do see Prima Esports' Stardust here as they're all building up to that lap. We can see GT's Mickey there pulling over and letting both what is ZFS Tiger and also Turbo Rasta through. And then as we do look through the order, here's the case we've got Seb already going on to a flying lap. But we're going to stay with one of our midfield drivers here, and in particular, we're going to stay with Victor Quadruple Zero, the GXF driver, and right on board with them as they take us around for a lap. So they make the way coming up in towards turn number 1. It is the case postman here. We're looking to hang the car to the left-hand side, looking at that brake marker, the number 2 board coming down the gearbox to 3rd gear, as he rolls his way through the corner and heading up towards turn number 2, coming out Paddock Hill Bend up into Druids, breaking out the 50-metre board, coming all the way down the gearbox and rolling the car through now and getting back on that power aggressively for heading down towards Graham Hill Bend at turn number 3. Breaking again at the 50-metre board here, looking to get a nice and early apex to push the car through the corner, and then rolling off of the exit curbing and down towards turn number 4. Breaking at the 50-metre board, this is being Surtees' corner. As he rolls his way through, they're getting a nice midpoint apex that we can get on the power, and a really smooth line out there to give credit to Victor. That was the perfect run of Surtees, and that is a demonstration of how you take one of the trickiest corners on a British circuit, spot on, as he now makes his way into Hawthorns here, breaking about the 75-metre mark, if not a little bit later, and just rolling the car through the apex. You've got to be very careful there, the way the Kelvin is cambered. You want to get on the power, but not too early. Now breaking his way into what is turn number 6 through Westfield Bend, and now charging it down through Dingledale here. The run up to a Sheen curve at turn number 7, rolling his way all the way through turn number 7, and now coming down to turn number 8, the one I can't remember the name of, but it is the case. Turn number 8 here, look at that 50-metre board coming down the gearbox through 2nd gear up into 3rd, and now charging all the way down towards what is Clark Curve to complete the lap here, braking just before the 50-metre board as he rolls his way on out. What will it be here for Victor as he crosses that timeline? We'll wait and see as he comes to the line. Our current provisional pole lap of 130.8. Well, Victor not quite there on the pace of 32.3, but to be fair, in fact, it is the case where he's pipped most to the post there, and that is going to be most of our drivers completing qualifying, unless I'm very much mistaken. And we can see here it is the case that in the end it will be, as that's all laps coming in apart from GTD's Mickey 2714, who comes on through right now. Can he improve? He comes to line. I don't think it's going to be a very fast lap. That is a good lap there. It's P5 in the end for the Italian driver, and well, that is qualified complete. So on pole is ERS's Nixo09 with Turbo Rasta in P2, and well, now we do get ready to go racing. As we pan down to the grid, it will be Nixo on the front row with Turbo Rasta alongside. A different front row this time, albeit Nixo back on the pole, but we now jump out of what is the, jump out of the grid and go racing. and it's lights out, away we go. Here's all our drivers look to get the best possible start, but once again, Iris Nixo09 getting a good start as he covers off the inside into turn number 1. Turbo Rasta here trying to go on the offensive, but in fact being caught there by Victor under braking into Paddock Hill Bend, and therefore having to focus more on defense rather than offense. We see the GTB drivers going 3 wide coming up into Druids Bend in the background, but everybody relatively making it through there, although we can see Stardust and ZFS Tiger, they're battling side by side through Druids for P6. Stardust is going to be on the inside here into Graham Hill Bend, and as they roll the way through, a major change for the pair of them. They're both not refusing to back down, but in the end Stardust does have to back down as we bring up the race detail here for you, so that way you can track all the positions, and we can see that is the case that ZFS Tiger gains a place at the start of this race, but GTB running right at the back here, and I think driving to a much different pace, a different tone here, as we do see GTY Oxfam for GTB trying to get into P7, but he can't quite find it at the moment. We'll wait and see what their strategy is after this open lap. I think a lot of drivers decided to go for the hard tyre at the start of this race, and that's why we saw those qualifying times highly fluctuating. As now as they make the way down into Westfield Bend, we look from the back of the field all the way out towards our leader, and Nixo is opening up that lead quite early on here, really going aggressive on this opening lap. And of course, our winner in what was race number 1, he's trying to make it 2 out of 2 here at Brands Hatch as he comes charging down towards Clark Curve for the first time of asking. He heads into the corner behind this Turbo Rasta, but right now that gap is only opened up more and more for Nixo, as we'll wait to see who comes on into the pits here. Well, our top 4 all stay out. What about GTD's at Mikey at 2714? He pulls on in. Also ZFS Tiger comes on in, and they'll be coming off of the hard tyre. I suspect they make the way into the pits. What about the GTB drivers? We've got Haruka coming in, but then we've also got Prima Stardust, Prima Esports and Stardust coming in, but otherwise both Seb and Oxad staying out there for GTBE. And they'll be going on to the soft or the medium. So after 1 lap, it is ERS's Nixo09 who leads, 1.3 seconds clear of Turbo Rasta from ICR in at P2. We then do have GXF's Victor there in P3, the Polishman having a good start and pressing on. He does like that P3 position. Can he convert it to a 3rd place finish this time? We'll wait and see. Free Esports' Tiger Hayes here, P4 right now, with GTB's Seb72 running with GTY's Oxfam from GTB. They're both running P5 at P6, nose to tail here, and working on the strategy together, I suspect. We then do have GTD's at Mikey 2714, the first of our pitters, who rolls through it in P7 right now, followed by GTB Haruka in P8, and then we do have ZFS Tiger, who's just got ahead of Prima Stardust there in the roll through turn number 4, through 30's corner. Then Prima Esports' Stardust there in P10, but as they make the way around here and head down towards Hawthorne's corner, it is the case that we can see Prima Stardust here right now falling a little bit back. I wonder whether he's trying to work on a much bigger strategy here compared to ZFS Tiger, who seems to be going all in. Time will tell, but meanwhile I can see one battle that is building. We can see the Victor here, who has got Prima Esports' Tiger Hayes closing as they roll the way through, and I can see the crowd right now in the YouTube chat going crazy for Victor as he runs his way through. Tomek Mosen in particular really enjoyed seeing the GXF driver in P3 as he makes his way across the timeline, setting a personal best there, and as they make the way into turn number 1 right now, it is the case. 7 seconds clear for Esports' Tiger Hayes. He's not going to let him go. It's Tiger Hayes as they make their way through. We're hearing that Seb 72 into the pit to get rid of a set of hard tyres. So Seb decided to split the strategies for Haruka and going 1 lap longer on the hard compared to his South African teammate. But right now as they roll the way down, it is the case that our leaders all pushing on here, and I suspect we've got softs or mediums on our top 4 as they make the way up into turn number 4 once again. But you can definitely see how Nixo is over that gap to Turbo Rasta. The gap has opened up to 2.6 seconds. It's just getting larger and larger, the gap, and right now Nixo just flying off into the distance here. He came here to deliver, and he's definitely delivering right now as he makes his way down and around through the corners. But as he rolls his way through Hawthorne's, it is the case that Nixo are doing a good job here of keeping it together as he makes his way now into Westfield Bend as he exits Westfield into Dingledale. Right now that advantage only staying strong. But we come back to that battle for P3, and you can see the gap has opened up to 9/10 now. Victor just inching that gap open, but meanwhile back in P5 we do have GTDI Oxan here, the GTB running in a rather lonely P5. He's 11.2 seconds off of the leaders, but he's also 2 seconds clear of GTD's at Mikey 2714, as we do see the GTD driver's EU driver here looking good as he firmly makes his way into turn number 8 and pushes on. But as he comes down now in towards the final quarter very shortly, it is the case he'll be thinking about how does the strategy play out here, given the fact we've seen literally almost half of our field go for early pit stops, trying to get rid of that hard tyre straight from the outset, whereas our leaders all the way down to the P6 or even the soft or the medium to start with. So it is going to be a very interesting mixture of strategies that play out as they make their way onto lap number 4, and Haruka at the tip of the spear with regards to the alternative strategies. As we see right now, the South African driver 1.8 seconds clear of his teammate, who pitted a lap later, so he used the hards for 2 laps compared to Haruka using them for 1. Will that benefit him in terms of the fresher, medium and soft compound at the end of the race? We'll wait and find out. But they're going a little bit deep into Druid's corner, but to be fair, you can afford to go deep into the corner if you go deep early and go for a late apex. But instead they're actually going deep wide to the apex in its entirety. So I think the Frenchman there just out braking himself a little bit, and in the end missing a key braking point. That'll cost him about 2 tenths in all, as we see Prix Esports' Stardust here giving pursuit in P9, and then ZFS Tiger, well, it has not gone the way that I think the Dutchman has wanted things to go as he rolls his way through turn number 4. Remember, he was hit with that race disqualification, that P10 finish after race 1 for not using the hard tyres, we understand it. So now he's got it all to do once again as he makes his way down towards Hawthorne's corner. But as he rolls on through, we look up towards our leader here, Nixo. Will he come in this time? He is coming in. He goes in very late into the pits there, just about staying within the pit limits. And as he makes way in off the soft tyre, what about Turbo Rasta? Well, Rasta goes on. He stays out there. Victor as well stays out there in P2. Prix Esports' Tiger Hayes as well. The gap there between Victor and Tiger Hayes has opened up to 2 seconds. To Rasta, it's come down to 1.4 seconds. The top 3 push on. Meanwhile, we can see that GTY's Oxan here makes his way across the timeline, and as he does, where's Nixo going to come out? He just comes out ahead of his foes, and that's going to be pulled. Oh, goodness me! And GTD's Mickey gets it wrong there, running deep and wide into Paddock Hill Bend. 2 wheels on the gravel and almost going off into the gravel trap, but not to be. And thankfully, the Italian driver has kept on going. That could have been a disaster. I think his heart might be in his mouth right now, in the fact that he went a little bit wide, but he's kept it together. And as he makes his way now down into turn number 3 through Graham Hill Bend, he'll be praising his stars that it was not the case. He went out into the tyre barrier, as meanwhile it's the case that Oxana will be thinking, okay, I've been given a bit of a gap here, a bit of breathing room, as he makes his way through turn 4 and now up towards turn number 5. As they come charge on down at this point, it is the case the Turkishman here trying to chase down Nixo right now, but keeping in mind Nixo is strategically ahead in this race now, given the fact that Nixo has made that pit stop for the lead of the race. He's back out there already. Nixo is delivering some very fast laps as the Polish driver. Meanwhile, where is Seb72 in all of this? Well, it does look as though the GTB driver down in P8 right now, and he's chasing after his teammate Haruka, but of course remembering they are on a slightly different strategy here, so wait to see what their strategy does for them. We see ZOS Tiger now P9, previous Stardust I believe has had a pit stop, either that or it's been an absolutely horrendous lap from the Frenchman. In fact, he's on an out lap there, it does say so at the top of our screen, so he is right now, he's already made 2 stops and trying to go on, but meanwhile into the pits, our top 3, Turbo Rasta, Victor, and also what is there, we can see Tiger Hayes, and as they make the way out, they go to the hard tyre here, and well, there is Nixo just coming on through. That's how close it was, to be fair, and Nixo just getting back ahead, but that gap has come down to 1 second as the Polishman here pushes on. He's had to put in an absolutely brilliant set of outlaps since coming out the pit lane, and right now he's jumped back into the lead, and Rasta, Victor and Tiger Hayes all going to that hard tyre, so as they roll the whale down right now, Nixo I think will take a little bit of comfort in the fact they're on the suboptimal tyre for this circuit as they make their way through turn number 4, and as they come through Surtees, that gap already opened up to 2.1 seconds. The man is flying as they make the way now down towards Hawthorne's, and Turbo Rasta here will still 1.3 seconds clear of Victor. They were very close on fuel, to be fair, and well, this has not worked out for Prix Esports' Tiger Hayes, because GTD Mickey 2714 has come out ahead as they make the way on down, but I think it may also be the case that Mickey, after making that early stop right now, is just going to be a thorn in the side of the Prix Esports driver here, and that shows you how those alternating strategies really do catch drivers out here. If you don't get the track space that you want, you can be held up, and Tiger Hayes right now I think wondering what can he do to potentially work around this problem. I think to do so is he's got to do a bit of fuel saving behind Mickey and just try to roll with the way the dice have fallen. All 30, he's really got to push on here, because this is not the situation he would have wanted to be in, coming out behind the P4 driver. And as he makes his way now down towards turn number 9, We'll see if he peels into the pits and reacts, or whether he decides to carry on here and try and close up. But that gap actually opened up quite a bit. In fact, both drivers hit as Turbo Rasta, Victor, Mickey, and also Tiger Hayes all win. Mickey coming in off the soft tyre, so he's used the soft. I think he's also used the hard, so you have the medium, and Tiger Hayes coming off the hard, which means now he'll only have the medium available for the rest of this race, unless we're very much mistaken. They're putting fuel to the cars. Oxad into the pits as well. The pit crew come on out. Meanwhile, ZFS Tiger here stays out on circuit up to P4 now, and already made 2 pit stops here. He drifts his way through turn number 1 through Paddock Hill Bend. Meanwhile, GTV 772 here battling with Harriker, battling with his teammate. They make their way side by side down through Druids Bend and into Graham Hill Bend, and Seb comes on through there. Harriker tucking on in. I think it is the case. It's a little bit of a strategic call between the two of them. And meanwhile, ERS's Nixo09 is 19 seconds up the road. Well, to be fair, he's still got to make at least one more stop, we believe. But Nixo right now putting this race firmly out of everybody's reach based on strategy and time. But as we look back down the order, we can see it's the case that Mickey here, P5, he's come out a good portion ahead of Prix Sports' Stardust. And then we do have Turbo Rasta and Victor behind Tiger Hayes as well. But keep in mind, of course, P7 through to P9 have just put a load of fuel in the car. And I do also believe Oxan has done the same in P10. So we do right now have to wait and see where our leaders come out when they take their final pit stops. So we'll have to take on that fuel, of course, to get them to the end of the race, and how that will then realign the field. But right now, it has to be said, Victor in P8 here, it's working out in the fact he's got a lot of space on circuit, but Turbo Rasta seems to be also delivering a very strong strategy here, the INCR driver. So I think the two of them will be battling for P3 come the end of this race, and we've not got long to go. We're on lap number 7 of 12. We've only got a few more. We've got a, whoa, it looks like we've got a yellow flag. Well, that is Harriker by the looks of things, who's had it off, and Harriker going very slowly. What on earth has happened to the GTV driver? When they're making their way into the pits with hazard lights on, I think it's gone wrong at turn number 8 and they've got into the wall, but they've come on in here, and it is the case. Well, we've also got Seb on in. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's the case that Harriker's just had a mistake at turn number 8, and we can't take a look back at what's happened, unfortunately. But yellow flags is what we had, and we can see here now as our original leading pack drivers coming through. It is the case we see coming out the pits there. That is Step 72. He comes charging out with fuel in the car, and he comes out ahead of ZFS Tiger and also Oxan here from GTTY representing GTB comes out ahead of ZFS Tiger as well. So it is the case right now. The Dutchman falling back to P9 here. This has not been his race as he comes charging on through, and I think he'll have to think about how he can get himself back up there whilst we do have the 10-minute break after this race in preparation for races 3 and 4 that follow after. But right now we look from ZFS Tiger to Harriker, who's come out the pits far down. I think there was damage to the car, hence the hazard lights being on after a mistake at turn number 8. And then we look back up towards our leader right now, who comes on in, and that is ERS's Nixo09. And now he'll be going to the medium as well. I think he'll be going to the hard, as I understand it, for his finals. Didn't hold the medium? No, surely it's going to be the hard, I'd say. But we can see here, there is the case. He's got such an advantage as GTD's and Mickey 2714 rolls his way through. And I think the Italian driver here very firmly and comfortably ran this P2 for now, but I think he has got another pit stop on the cards here. And as he peels his way on in, we see that Nixo has gone out onto a set of mediums. And well, where is Prima Stardust? Prima Stardust also coming on in, but I believe Turbo Rasta will not be coming in. That's correct. And as he makes his way on towards the timeline, he's effectively P2 in this race as he comes across the line. We can see that Victor quadruple 0 behind from GXF is chasing after the INCR driver. The gap is 4.2 seconds and opening up at a staggering rate. And right now, Victor, to be fair, I think trying to hold on to P3 after what was a difficult end to race number 1 where he dropped down the order. I think Prix Sports' Tiger Hayes will have something to say about that running P4 as they make their way on around. And then we can see that we've got GTV's 772 here, who right now P5 and ZFS. They both gained through the pit stops, and Oxan meanwhile down in P7. But these strategies really all now threading into one another, and it's definitely the case. This field is chopping and changing. But right now, ERS's Nixo09 just in a world of his own all the way up at the front. You can see it now on the circuit radar in the top right corner of your screen. That dot at the bottom of the circuit making its way into the last couple of corners. That is our race leader. He's just in the world of his own up there. And well, as he's in the world of his own, it is the case. One driver who's not in a world of his own because he's got pressure bearing down his neck is this man here, Victor, in the fact that he's got Tiger Hayes only 2.4 seconds behind. He's wanted to catch up to Turbo Rasta, but the INCR driver I think is keeping him at bay as they make the way into Sheen Curve once again. as he rolls his way on through and down into turn number 8. Now it is the case that we're not long to go. We have 3 more laps after this one. Turbo Rasta, I think, trying to keep this P2 and put it to bed. As he rolls his way there out to the final corner to go on to lap number 10. It's looking good at the moment. He's 15.8 seconds down the leader, but I think he'll be thinking more about P2 for now, unless it is the case the leader drops it come the final couple of laps. But it does seem as though in terms of battling, things have calmed down to an extent. So they're right on the limit, and also almost grounding the car out there on what was the exit curve in the Paddock Hill bend. But meanwhile, we can see Victor here definitely being able to stabilise that gap to Prix Sports' Tiger Hayes as the P4 driver here. Actually, I'm going to worry more about the fact he's got GTB's Seb 72 closing up behind than he is closing up onto the P3. I think these two will be coming to battle on the final lap at the rate of closure, as Seb there takes 2 attempts out of Tiger Hayes in the run out to turn number 3 and heads up towards turn number 4. And as they make the way on around here, it is the case as they roll through Surtees. We see ZFS Tiger, they're not too far back in P6, and still I think trying to latch onto the back of this battle. He'll be hoping that they battle one another hard enough so he can get into the fight. But as they roll their way up into turn number 5, it is the situation I think for Seb 72. He's just now got to try and pick the place to go for the move, and he's catching up at probably the worst place on the Brands Hatch circuit, which is that latter half whereby we don't really have too many overtaking opportunities. It's not really a place to go for a move here through Dingledale up into Sheet Curve, nor is it up into turn number 8. It'll be the run to turn number 9 where the overtake could be made. And Seb right now looking to the inside here, and Tiger Hayes really struggling on those tyres as they roll their way through the left-hander. And you can see Seb, he's getting ready to go for the move. Tiger Hayes not covering off the middle of the road at the moment, instead just waiting. In fact, Seb not close enough. I think Tarkin doing a bit of fuel saving here and then getting ready to go for the move up to the Paddock Hill bend. Tiger Hayes peels to the inside here as they make the way across the timing line to go on to what is lap number 11, the penultimate lap, and it's going to be Seb on the inside. Tiger Hayes on the outside there, and Seb dives to the inside, gets it hooked up on the Paddock Hill bend apex, and as they roll the way up the hill now, can he cover off a return move? Tiger Hayes comes back at him here. It's about on the brakes, but Seb out brakes Tiger Hayes, doesn't go overly deep, and it is the case the GTB driver is up into P4. Tiger Hayes now under pressure from ZFS Tiger with only 1.5 laps to go by the time he gets his way through Surtees and down towards Hawthorns. As they roll the way on through, you can see this battle for P4. The 3 drivers here not too far back is GTD's and Mickey 2714, who has got GTTY Oxan from what is their GTB closing up as they roll their way through Surtees corner. And as they come charge on through this time, we'll wait to see whether they close up or whether they close up to the battle ahead of them. It is all nip and tuck right now as they make the way through the final stages of this race. But we can see Harriker here down in P9 and Prima Stardust here all the way down in P10. I think he's picked up damage somewhere on the lap. So that last lap was a 2:04. Yeah, it's gone very wrong for the Prima Sports drivers into the pits for another stop. Its final stop is ERS's Nixo 09. I think it's the case he may have decided to do a double stint on one set of tyres and then go to the hard for a final lap. And to be fair, he's going to come out with a huge advantage here. Well, it does look as though the ERS driver here has found the optimal strategy, and that is to double stint softs, because right now Turbo Rasta, as he comes across the timeline, and it will be the checker flag next time out as he makes his way on around, the gap is 11.4 seconds. It's a huge gap, and as they make the way on through, Turbo Rasta goes a bit wide. And I think it's the case that for the Italian, he's feeling the pinch of those heavily worn tyres. He's not got long to go. He's just got this 1 lap to go. But we can see Victor now under a bit more pressure. Further back there, we see ZFS Tiger battling with Prima's Tiger Hayes. And as they make the way out of Juris, it's the case. I think the Dutchman has gained the position. He's got himself up into P5, and he's trying to hunt down 2 more places ahead of him with not long to go. As we see Tiger Hayes now falling backwards to GTD's and Mickey as they roll their way through Surtees corner. And well, Tiger Hayes there, he's tried to take these tyres a very long way, and he gets a little bit wrong with the exit. I'm not sure if there was contact, but Tiger Hayes loses another position. He's taken the tyres too far, and now he is feeling the consequences as they make the way on down into Hawthorns. But look at the 2 drivers have come out of Hawthorns corner. We see Victor having a battle with Seb 72. You can see just ahead Turbo Rasta getting it wrong, and it looks as though it's going to be the battle for P3 rather than the battle for P2 as they make the way down through Dingledale. And it's not too wide here, but they're going to make it too wide, and it looks like Seb goes around the outside. There's a bit of contact, but they give one another enough space, and Seb's up the inside, but we must cut away, ladies and gentlemen, because he comes through to take the checkered flag. ETRS is Nix09, who takes the win in race number 2 by 14 seconds, and Turbo Rasta comes through the final corner here in a car with tyres that are very heavily shod, but he's going to hold on. The end is the INCR driver, and he will take P2 in a well-deserved run to the second place on the podium, and Seb72 finishes off the podium for GTB just ahead of GXF Victor there, who just lost out on the final lap in a brilliant side-by-side battle between the two of them through Dingledale to Sheet Curve, and it'll be ZFS Tiger who's recovered to P5 in great form, the Dutchman, ahead of GTD's Mickey 2714, Prix Sports' Tiger Hayes P7, and then it's the GTB representative of GTTY Oxan in P8. We then have GTB Hurricane P9, and then we do have Priva's Stardust here from Prix Sports, who's coming on through right now to take the last of the finishing positions. But as they make the way down towards the final corner here, Prima Stardust, I think, will know this is not the way he wanted his race number 2 to go. And there's a lot to think about in the break between races 1 and 2 and races 3 and 4 as he comes across to take the checkered flag, the P10, and complete our race in order. But what a brilliant set of battles up and down the field. And, well, that is race number 2, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, what a fantastic race. And right at the end there, fortunately, we just caught the overtake that was made by GTB's Seb72 on GXF's Victor 000. But the two of them side by side are giving one of a great racing room. Fantastic racing. And now we get ready to build up to what is race number 3. As everyone right now being required to save the replay and save the results. But we'll very shortly be taking a 10-minute comfort break for all of our drivers, just to give them all a breather, reset their mind, think about strategies. And you can see there Seb commenting in the chat, great race, very fair, thanks. And I do think it is the case that both Victor and Seb there both had their hearts in their mouth going side by side through the corner, which you never go side by side through. And for context, ladies and gentlemen, if you look up the GT World Challenge from back in what was 2021, where it was the case the Jota McLaren and the Akados MSP Mercedes went side by side with a back marker as well through there. It was the case the Jota McLaren ended up in the trees due to contact, where it wasn't to be, as now we do take our 10-minute break. And, well, we get ready for more racing action later on this evening. So we'll be back at approximately what is 27 minutes past 7 this evening, British Summer Time. That's BST or UTC +1 for the build-up to race number 3 and qualify 3 with that. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, don't go too far, because there's plenty more to come here in round number 3 of the GTfusiOn 2022 Team World Championship, and you won't want to miss it. We'll be back very soon. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back then for what is the build-up to race number 3, and we can see right now all the drivers are making their way out onto the Brands Hatch circuit here in the United Kingdom for their qualifying session. We have one lap once again in this qualifier. It's a one-lap shootout, and all the drivers right now getting themselves set and trying to get the best possible lap. And what's really been the story then of the opening 2 races? What have we seen? We have seen over the course of 2 12-lap races with the identical tyre wear of times 15 and identical fuel depletion of times 8. That is the case. It seems as though qualifying does set you up very well for the purposes of the race. And one driver who has shown that with back-to-back wins is ERS's Nixo09, who seems to have a habit of either starting on the soft or the medium and making it last long. But we saw interestingly from Nixo last time out, it was the case the ERS driver decided to double stint on a particular compound. I believe it was on the soft and then converted to the medium and then did a lap on the hard. And that double stinting, particularly with the gap he was able to open up early on in the race with what seems to be just race leading pace from the ERS driver, has given him those 2 wins and setting him up very well for the purposes of going into the future races. But as he makes his way around right now, it is the case that Nixo here looking good. And then we do look back to Oxad as they all queue up here, getting ready. All the drivers getting themselves set in this one-lap shootout. And we are going to ride with what is Prima Stardust as he takes us onto a lap here. And we ride with the Prix Sports driver as he rolls through and goes onto his one and only flying lap. So coming out there, out of Clark Curve and heading towards the timing line to start his lap. It is the case holding the car to the left-hand side and braking about 100 metre board there, actually rolling the car in very conservatively, and as he comes through Paddock Hill Bend, hooks up nicely, but a slow entry, and now charging up towards Druids Bend here, braking at the 50 metre board and rolling the car on through the apex, and as he does so he keeps it very nicely together before emerging and now coming down towards Graham Hill Bend at turn 3, braking at the 50 metre marker once again, and this time trying to get a nice early apex there, which will pull the car around, gets a little bit of snap oversteer and corner exit, but nothing too major, and now making his way into Surtees. Does he go deep? Does he go early? Or does he go just right? He goes just right there and gets on the power, but in fact a bit of a slow exit, and it does slow him down a little bit in the run towards Hawthorne's corner. He's lost about 3-4 tenths there in terms of the run out of Surtees and heading up towards Hawthorne's corner. In fact, it's the case he's had Nixo come up behind, and the 2 of them had to negotiate this, and right now Stardust really struggling here. I think he might be on a hard compound because he wants to start the race at the hard. He's going to start further down the order by default, that means, but this lap has been heavily compromised, and as he rolls his way through Westfield Bend and now up into Sheet Curve, he'll be using that 50 metre board, breaking at about the 70 metre point, and as he comes on through there, definitely not a huge amount of confidence in the car from Prix Sports' Stardust here, but I think just having that lap disrupted by Nixo coming on through has just upset his momentum, and it's maybe the case it's a bit of a rude qualifying session, whereas he comes through the final corner here, braking at about 60 metres more than the pace we'd like to see. It is the case, he comes to the timing line, and what will it be for the Frenchman? As he comes through the fastest lap so far, set by Nixo, it's a 31.1, Stardust on a 36.793, and not a lap that he's going to be happy with, and I do think as more and more lap times come through, we're going to see him go even further down. Turbo Rasta goes P3. What about their Victor as he comes to the line? He goes P5. Victor, well, he's going to be starting outside of the top 3 this time. Can he try and finally get a podium finish? We'll have to wait and see. We've still got more drivers coming on through. We do have, I believe, that ZFS Tiger coming to the end of his lap. He's the last driver to come around right now. And what will it be for the 718 driver as he comes to the line? It'll be a P7 in all. So that means your grid for race number 3 will have GTV's GTY Oxad on pole, ERS Nix09 P2, Turbo Rasta P3 with Haraka from GTV P4, Victor P5, Tiger Hayes P6, ZFS Tiger P7, and then we'll wait for the rest of the grid as we peel on down. So as we do pan to the grid here, we have Mickey on P8, Seb P9 and Stardust P10 as we very quickly abort our start so that way we can watch the start of the race. And it's lights out, away we go here for race number 3 in round 3 of Group B's GTfusiOn World Championship. And as they make their way down to turn 1, Oxford get the better start of the 2 of them versus what is Nixo there as they make their way for the opening corner. A bit further back though, you can see Victor immediately going on the offensive, a bit of a push there on Haraka as they make their way through. In fact, that wasn't, I'm not 100% sure, was that Victor getting the push on Tiger Hayes? As we see ZFS Tiger also comes on through there. I think it may have been the case in the battle for P4. Haraka was pushed wide and then Tiger Hayes came on through with it, and so ZFS Tiger. Tiger, but definitely a few elbows getting out there early in these touring cars as they do, and as they make the way down towards Surrey's corner. You can see Harrica run a bit wide there. I think just a slightly wounded BMW as they make the way through the left hand at turn number 4. In this case, they all settle into line of stern order quite early on in this race compared to what we've seen previously as they make the way on down towards Hawthorne's corner. But we see right out the front, it is the case. We've got the battle here between the leaders of Nixo and Oxan, and as they make the way through turn number 5, it's Nixo who takes the lead of this race in emphatic fashion. And I think if it weren't for the fact he had a slightly compromised lap coming on past the Prix Esports driver of what was Stardust, he would have been on pole based on the pace he's seen, but he's just flying. He's not showing any quarter here, and as he makes his way down into turn number 8 right now, the ERS driver just seems to be in a world of his own, because you can see the GTY Oxan is falling backwards with Turbo Rasta closing. And I do wonder whether the Turkish driver here has decided to go for more of a fuel-saving approach rather than an all-in approach compared to Nixo. Well, we've seen that Nixo's all-in approach seems to be the better of the two. As they make the way to the end of lap number 1, it is Nixo leading ahead of Oxan and Turbo Rasta in P3. Those are your top 3. Victor in P4, followed by Tiger Hayes from Prix Esports P5. Then GTV's Harrica P6. It's then GTV's Seb 72 P7. Prima Stardust P8. Then we've got in the pitch GTD and Mickey coming off the hard and going onto the medium. We've then got Zuntiers coming off of the medium and going onto the hard here. The ZFS Tiger is going charged on forwards, and we saw this in race number 2 where he made that additional pit stop, much like our race leader and winner did. And could this work out for the Dutchman? We will wait and see, but he's decided to go all in here and doing what he can as he rolls his way through turn number 2 and down towards 3. But as we look from there but to our leader once again, we see Oxan falling backwards here, but Turbo Rasta has dropped a little bit in terms of the gap. He's fallen to 1.1 seconds behind Oxan, but he's got 1.1 seconds over Victor behind as they make the way through Hawthorne's corner. As they come charged on through here is the situation that Victor looking strong right now. All of them really settling into a rhythm here, especially our top 5 as they make the way through. And Harrica a little bit further back. He's a second back of a Tiger Hayes, and I think after a disrupted start where he was looking to hold on to P4 coming out the first corner, it wasn't to be, but fortunately for him it is the case. It was only a little knock off the circuit, nothing in terms of major damage, and right now he is trying to close back up to that top 5 and get right back in there, but he won't do if he drops 3/10 of a second through turns 6 through to 7. And as they make the way down into turn number 9, it is the case that we're waiting to see who out of our top 6 will peel into the pits of the first strategy call, and also we're waiting to see which tyres they're on, whether they're on mediums or softs. So all these top 6 are on one of those two compounds. It would dare to imagine one of them's on the hard. Meanwhile, into the pits comes Seb 72 once again, using the hard starting tyre, doing 2 laps on it, and then likely to go to the soft and then wrap up on the medium as he peels on it here. And the pit crew go hard to work. And where will this release him as we see Zuntiers into the pits? He's already used the medium. He's now going to get rid of the hard. So he's now going to double stint soft. So he'll take a set of softs and make them run 5 laps. And then he'll take another set of softs to run them 5 laps. Or will he do 10 laps on a single set of softs? Well, that'd be very daring given the high rate of wear that we're seeing here today. And right now the Dutchman, well, he's in control of his own destiny. And we'll wait and see where he's able to pull off another top 5 finish. As we look from him to our leaders, it is the case that Nixo, after breaking to a second away from the GTY Oxan, it is the case the ERS driver is being closed up here by the Turkish driver as they make the way up through the corners. And I do wonder whether this is a sign of Nixo thinking about trying to conserve some fuel, goodness me, and running a little bit too wide there, coming out of what was at the time, coming charging out of the corner of turn number 6. That was Westfield Bend, and Oxan runs wide coming out of Sheen Curve. The two of them making errors left, right and centre, and as they come around now and down towards turn number 3, both drivers right on the limit of adhesion. And as they come through the final corner here, both I think will be feeling as though they've just missed a fatal moment in their race. For right now this top 2 breaking away from Turbo Rasta in P3 as he comes charged on down towards turn number 1 once again. And as he comes rip right on through, we see Victor behind, who is also now falling backwards towards Prix Esports' Tiger Hayes is the GXF driver as they roll the way on through. See Tiger Hayes, however, there's some smoke kicking up from the car. I think that's more of a visual glitch than anything. I don't think there's actual smoke coming out the back of that car right now as that BMW wouldn't be too healthy. But right now, as they roll their way through, we've had somebody into the pit, and that was Prix Stardust to get rid of the hard tyre after 3 laps on the tyre. He's putting fuel in the car. Now, what is he going on to? He's going on to the medium. He's put 10 litres in, and he's shot to the back of the field. I'm trying to figure out the strategy here for the Prix Sports driver to do 3 laps of the hard. I think he's going to try and take the medium long and then go for a qualifying run on the soft at the very end of the race. But we haven't seen a driver take the hard more than 2 tyres so far, but we are now. We've seen him taking 3 laps of the hard tyre, and I'm not sure this is going to be the right approach. But we will wait and see. Of course, they may prove us wrong. But meanwhile, we see Nixo here after almost getting it wrong at this corner. Only moments ago was Westfield Bend. It is the case now. The Polishman has opened up a second's worth of a gap to GT2i Oxan as they make the way into Westfield Bend here. And well, not Westfield Bend, a Sheen Curve, I should say. My apologies. As they come right on through, it is the case they stay as they were. 1 second, the delta between the two of them. Both of them pushing on, and then behind we do have Turbo Rasta, who has got Victor and Tiger Hayes inching closer, and we see this battle for the final spot on the podium here is intensified as they come to the end of lap 4. Into the pits comes Oxan and also Nixo from what was the lead positions. They come off the soft tyre, and we'll wait to see which tyre they go on to, but Turbo Rasta goes on to lead a lap of this race with Jackson Victor and previous Tiger Hayes behind. We've also got Haraka into the pits. They're putting fuel in Nixo's car, they're putting fuel in Oxan's car. What about Haraka's? They're changing the tyres right now, so it is the case. We'll wait to see, but it looks like Oxan's got the jump here as they make the way out to the pit lane, or have they? We're just waiting for confirmation. I think no, Haraka has got the jump here, and GTB I think are pulling a bit of a strategic one as you see that Haraka coming off Nixo, but Nixo diving to the inside just in time, and as they make the way through Druid's Bend here, well, I think both drivers would argue they were entitled to that space inside, but Nixo has got ahead. I think GTB have tried to use Haraka to try and blunt the pace of Nixo there by converging him on the strategies, which of course has been a team's championship. They can work the strategy to try and pivot driver to the post. But right now, Haraka has lost out as they make the way through turn number 4, and Oxan as well. This strategy has not worked out. They've released Oxan back into P5, the lead driver of the two, but Nixo there has dodged a major obstacle. But to be fair, I wonder how much of that was they were able to squeeze his way down the inside. The stewards maybe take a look at that one post-race, but that'll be for something for post-round. It won't be something that's covered here today as they make the way through turn number 6. And as they do, Nixo now knows he's got to go all in to try and close it up. We didn't quite see what tyre Nixo went to, whether he went to another set of softs. I suspect he may have gone to another set of softs to try and play the strategy again, but as he makes his way around on lap number 5, if he hasn't, if he's sticking to a more conventional 2-stop here, well, it may actually bode better in the long run for the simple reason he won't feel as much of the pain as he comes out of the corner. And as he comes charging up towards turn number 1, once again going on to lap number 6. Into the pits have come our leaders, and where do they filter out? Well, this is going to be a big conundrum here, because Turbo Rasta has come out ahead of Oxan, and so has Victor. And Victor has jumped ahead for a strategy. They've gone to the hard tyre, but this has worked out for Victor brilliantly, as what it means now, and look at this Oxan, this is not what the Turkish driver would have wanted, in the fact he was running P2, he's now P4 in the scheme of the strategy. And as they roll them through, Oxan's pace on what was the up-to-date and warmer tyre, well, he's going to go for the move on Turbo Rasta here, but this is not working out by any means as they come on through. And right now, here's the case that Oxan is falling away as they come charging on through and down towards turn number 5 they go. Can he find the move on Victor this time? We'll wait and see as they make the way into turn number 5. I think he's going to go for the move here. He's going to siphon it in. Victor does try and battle it on the outside there. I think Victor in the end relinquishing the position at 9. He's not really in the battle with the GTB driver currently, but again, he will take a lot of encouragement from the fact that it is the case that Oxan came out behind them and therefore has lost some time on a tyre which is getting older by the lap. And as they make the way through sheet curve here, it's the case Victor now has to worry about Turbo Rasta, who he jumped in the pits, and now he's got to try to hold on to P3 once again. Familiar story? Well, it's not a repeat. I can promise you, ladies and gentlemen, this is race number 3 out of 4 races here at Brands Hatch today. Victor so far has not been able to convert a P3 finishing position. Will he be able to do it on the 3rd time of asking? As we see behind there, Tiger Hayes battling with Haraka. Haraka going on through. Tiger Hayes coming on in. It's the case that Victor and also Turbo Rasta in. They all come on in to get rid of the hard tyre. They'll go on to now what will be the medium for the remainder of the race. Meanwhile, Mickey here from GTD also coming in. He's going to change those tyres to the medium. What will he put on the car? I suspect it will be now the soft tyre for a duration. As meanwhile, we see Prima Stardust coming on through. And already ZF's Tiger has come through to take that P5 position, but these guys on a very different strategy, and we're still waiting for those strategies to converge. As meanwhile, the question is, what's happening here in the battle between Victor and Turbo Rasta? They finish on the fuel gun, it's going to be close. Tiger Hayes jumps the pair of them, and well, he's only putting 2 litres less. I think Tiger Hayes feels confident that he can keep the other 2 drivers at bay as they go into that medium tyre for the remainder of this race. But it is the case that Tiger Hayes just jumps ahead. Victor looks to move on the inside already into turn number 2. It's a little bit of a push here, and I think Tiger Hayes is going to try and shut the door. They battle their way out of Druid's hairpin and now head down towards turn number 3. And as they do, Victor has got ahead. It might have been a little bit of a push to pass, but the Polishman has found his way on through, and Turbo Rasta looking for the move as well. He can't quite find it here, and Victor has managed to get into lead, but Turbo Rasta jumps down the inside of Tiger Hayes, the Prix esports driver there, losing 2 places that he gained in very quick succession. And now is the case, the Italian going chasing after the Polishman once again, and GTD and Mickey at 2714 is right there behind as they make their way up into turn number 5 as they come roaring on through the right-hander of Hawthorne's corner. Right now, this battle for P2, what we believe is the battle for P3, albeit would it be the case that the drivers in front of Stardust, also ZFS Tiger, Seb here, but GTB and Harika, can they upset this and get out ahead? That'll be the question. They put the fuel in the car. We'll wait and see. Meanwhile, we come back to that battle for what is P7 out on circuit. We leave this as P3 out on track, and right now, will Victor come back out ahead, or will that battling into turn 2, will it mean that he loses out the position? We'll have to see here as they come on through. It is the case that still in service. Harika has gone onto a set of softs. He's put 42 litres in, but I suspect there's another pit stop upcoming for Harika. So as they make the way on through, it is the case of Victor coming on through here. They just come out ahead, and this is so close. And Seb comes out right in the back of this battle here. It's not what he would have wanted, and he's lost out quite dearly. He's caught up to the back of it, to be fair, for the strategy, but he would have wanted to jump it. As we can see here, Mickey looks to move up the inside of Prix Esports' Tiger Hayes, and the GTD driver gets the move done, and Tiger Hayes just does not have the momentum in that BMW to hold on here. And speaking of holding on, Turbo Rasta now all over the back of GXF's Victor 400 as they make their way into left-hander here for 30. So you see Turbo Rasta going for a very, very late apex to try and get the run down towards Hawthorne's corner. Victor taking a slower run through the corner to try and blunt his momentum, and as they make their way charging on down here, you can see the ICR driver really trying to hold on as they make the way on through Hawthorne's. It's free in a line here with where's Mickey closing it up as well. It's nose to tail racing here. It is effectively touring car in the Colin Turkington tribute race here, and as they make their way through turn number 6, it is the case that Turbo Rasta now finds himself between a rock and a hard place. He gets it wrong, he'll have his fellow countrymen all over the back of him. He gets it right, he'll be taking P5 as our leaders are into the pit. And right now, let's battle for P5 as we see there further back. We've got Tiger Hayes having to hold off 772, the Prix esports driver going toe to toe with his old rival from GTBE as they make their way out of turn number 8 and down towards 9. And we can see that ZFS Tiger also closing up to this battle very gradually, as right now it could almost be the case, you could say, we've got 6 drivers battling for a finishing position within the top 5 as they roll their way on through and head on to lap number 9 into the pits. I do believe we'll wait for Seb to look for the move here. He goes very late on the brakes to Seb. He gets it hooked up very nicely, gets it done. Meanwhile, GTD's Mickey looks to the move up the inside into Druids, but he's covered off there, but he goes deep. Does Turbo Rasta? Turbo Rasta goes overly deep, and he loses the place, and it's one little error from the Italian, and he lets Mickey through, and in the end just outbrakes himself under pressure, where it's the case that the pressure got to him, and now can Mickey do a similar move to Victor in front of him? Now, I'd say he won't be able to get Victor to fall under pressure as we see a bit of a knock there between Turbo Rasta and GTV Seb 72. Seb coming from quite far back there into 30's corner. They go side by side in the run and down towards Hawthorne's via Pilgrim's Drop. You see Turbo Rasta defends the inside here. The INCR driver won't want to lose another place. He'll feel so as he loses that. It will be from a very late lunge. And as they make their way through the corner, Rasta holds the position. I think Seb there backing off a little bit to go racing once again as they make their way into Westfield Bend. But no change between them as they make the way now down towards turn number 7. But we cut away from them briefly, ladies and gentlemen, to our race leaders, and we can see LRS's Nixo 09 is now 4 seconds clear of GTCY's Oxan, and then we do see a GTB Harika coming up through, and I do believe the South African driver has to pit at some point. Not yet, as he runs very, very wide. That's almost into the wall, but he gets caught in the gravel trap. But that's going to really hurt any strategy that he did have planned, because that is going to cost him at least 4 to 5 seconds. And you can see already the damage being done as that gap comes down from 9.5 seconds all all the way down to 3 seconds by the time he gets to Paddock Hill Bend. Victor holds on for now. Meanwhile, we see here Turbo Rasta battling with Seb 72, and Seb this time up the inside, a little bit of door rubbing there, but they say rubbing is racing, as we can see here. ZFS Tiger making his way up the inside into Druids as they make the way through, and Tiger Hayes trying to close up as they roll the way down the hill and not there in the battle. But Turbo Rasta losing a lot of places here in quick succession, and I think it's just that one little moment of Druids Bend that's just upset all his rhythm. We know he's a very fast driver, but it's not coming together right now. Can he bring it back with 2.5 laps to go? Can he get right back up there? We'll have to wait and see. Now, we do believe that GTB's Haraka has to come into the pits by the end of this lap or the next lap. We do believe he's got one pit stop outstanding, so that means right now P4 upwards, it is the case they're all battling for that final spot on the podium, and we can see that Mickey here, we should say P4 downwards, actually, not upwards, but Mickey has found his way past Victor. We didn't see that on camera, but he's found his way on past, and he's running right now in effectively P3 with not long to go in this race as he comes roaring on through, but he goes very wide there, coming out to Sheen Curve, and this will give Victor the opportunity to close on up, and Seb looks at the move here. He can't quite find it, and now ZFS Tiger gets a really good run, but he's on the outside in the run down towards turn number 9, down into Clark Curve, and as they make their way through the corner, Seb covers him off, but you can see just how close it's getting between the two of them. ZFS Tiger here with the double stinting on the soft tyre has closed up dramatically, and now can the Dutchman get back into the top 5? He has a habit of doing this. Seb cuts the inside into Paddock Hill Bend, but Victor outbrakes him just about. But he's going to go deep here, and that means he'll lose the momentum, but Seb has to back off, and we can see ZFS Tiger tries to make it 3 wide. It's going to be 3 wide into Druids Bend. There's a lot of knocking and rubbing between the drivers, but I think ZFS Tiger has got the move done there in a very brave lunge, but you can see Seb flashing his lights. He's not happy as they make their way through turn number 3. I think it will be the case that Tiger would argue, you left the space on the inside, I'm going to take it. Racing is what it's all about, and you can see Seb right now, I think, will try and come on back. It's so close between them and Victor. Well, you've got to feel for Victor. It is the case the GXF driver has been literally robbed of 2 places on the outside of Druids, and well, it is the case right now. He is falling backwards little by little. Those tyres are just not staying with him on this penultimate lap as he rolls his way on through Hawthorns, and not long to go in this race, but it's ever so close as they make the way now down and around and in towards the Sheen Curve they run. But then we do have, well, it's Turbo Rasta here who's trying to close on up. He's closed up gradually to Victor as they make the way through turn number 7, but no changes. Oh, goodness me, Victor runs wide there at Sheen Curve, and that means that Turbo Rasta gains a position, and now as they make the way through turn number 8, it's the case, I think, as our leaders come on in to go to the hard tyre. Well, Haraka's also coming on in here, but he will drop behind given that mistake he had at the final corner. Well, Nixo comes out, our leader, he continues that lead. Oxlade comes out the hard tyre P2, and then it will be GTD's Mickey 2714 who now takes P3, and can he run third to the end of the race? That will be the challenge. We can see ZFS Tiger closing here, hand over fist. He's only got 1 lap to go. The white flag is out, and it is 6 tenths of a second that he needs to close down and make the pass on this final lap, and Step 72 only 8 tenths behind. It could be a 3-way fight for the final step of the podium here. The top 2 have gone off into the distance and said goodbye, but right now our focus is on that battle for P3, and it is GTD's Mickey 2714 who holds on. Can he bring it to the conclusion? That will be the challenge that he awaits as he makes his way out of Surrey. So far it's looking good for the Italian driver, but the Dutchman here of what is ZFS Tiger closing very rapidly. They make their way down through Pilgrim Shop, and as they come on in, it is the case. Lovely camera angle there for our cameraman. You see all 3 drivers coming through very rapidly. The camera focusing on ZFS Tiger. No way through so far. Gets a little bit sideways coming out of Hawthorns. The gap is not closing as rapidly as he would like, and Seb is falling back here. I think the racing earlier on has just taken it out of the tyres, and therefore he's going to have to watch as ZFS Tiger closes up through Sheen. Can he go for the move into turn 8? No, he runs a little bit wide. The car goes sideways, but we must cut away from him to our leader, who is going to make it 3 wins out of 3. For as he comes along the start-finish straight, it'll be ERS's Nix09 who takes the win in race number 3 for Poland for the team ERS. 6.5 seconds clear of GTV's representative GT2Y Oksan, the Turkish driver there with a brilliant P2, and it will be be GT's Mickey, who holds on to take the final step of the podium. You can see he's happy, he's flashing his lights ahead of ZFS Tiger with that brilliant 2-for-1 pass into Druids, and then GT's Seb72 P5 ahead of Turbo Rasta P6, Victor P7. Then we have Prima Esports' Tiger Haze P8 ahead of Prima Esports' Stardust and GTB's Haraka P10. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is race number 3. And my goodness, what a brilliant race between all three drivers. Well, not all three drivers, all 10 drivers there. But that battle for what was P3 coming down to 6 drivers and into 3 drivers. That's what we love to see here. Very close, fast and furious racing within Group B. And now we only have one more race remaining for tonight. We are running a little bit behind schedule because of the way we're having to gradually set up the lobbies for each and every race. So we are right now running about 10 minutes behind schedule. We'll likely be about 15 minutes behind schedule when we do get race number 4 started with the qualifier for first and foremost. But what a crazy race. And to be fair, it is the case. I'd say that right now, out of all the drivers, GTD's Mickey2714, I think will have his heart in his mouth thinking, how on earth did that just happen? Because that was absolutely brilliant racing. And well, it is the case. We've got plenty more to come in the final race. There's no doubt about that. As we do just take a very quick sip of water here, it is the case indeed. Amsterdam there saying in the YouTube chat, ZFS Tiger with the double overtake was the one. Well, I think a lot of you absolutely love that double overtake. There was a bit of contact, and I think the stewards may review that post round, but definitely for a move and a daring move at that, you've got to give credit to ZFS Tiger. It was all on the line for P4 there, and he went for it and made it work. And well, you can see a comment there from ERS's Nix09. I was so stressed, Oxan. Good job out there. Well, it is the case that the two of them battled furiously, but now we are going to form a new lobby, so we will be back, ladies and gentlemen, within 3 to 5 minutes for the build-up to race number 4. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the build-up to race number 4. And before that, of course, qualifier 4, which is a single lap. It's a single lap shootout in qualifying. But right now, we are about to get ready for qualifying. And there we go. We get the go-ahead from our lobby host. It is time for us to see who can put it on pole for the last time tonight. And what, if the opening 3 races have been any indicator, it will be fast, it will be furious. And our drivers are doing everything to try and get the best possible result here at Brands Hatch, and that all comes down to one final race. As we see here is the case that Hurricane making his way around. I think some drivers here just doing a little bit of fuel burning, getting themselves sighted on in, and we do say hello there to ZFS's Edinburgh lad in the YouTube chat. And well, the racing has been of a very high caliber today, despite all the technical issues that Gran Turismo 7 presents. It is the case that our drivers are loving it out there. Well, I definitely think they're loving it, and they've created some fantastic racing action. The things to watch out for: can it be the case that we see this man here, GTTY's Oxan, come home with a win tonight after what has been a number of attempts at picking up the win, but every time he's been thwarted by the raw pace of ERS Nixo09, who we see making his way up into Hawford's corner. This guy, the Polishman, has picked up 3 wins out of 3. He has done it on 2 different strategies, whether it's via the conventional 2-stop of starting on the soft to go to the hard to then the medium, or vice versa, soft, medium, hard, or alternatively double stinting a pair of softs and then going for the medium for a lap and then the hard for a lap. It is the case. He has found a way each and every way. As we say hello to Prix Sports' Tyraf there in the YouTube chat. I hope you're doing that well, Tyraf. And speaking of Prix Sports, can Tiger Hayes from Prix Sports Alterity Stardust pull off a result that they want tonight? It has not been an easy night for them. They've had difficult races. There's been some contact as we see everybody now getting into a formation and making their way down the final stretch towards what is a Clark Curve, trying to give themselves space. And we will this time ride on board with Zuntiers here, or ZFS Tiger as he likes to be known, as he will take us on through for our final flying lap. And indeed, the very final lap of this session, as we see there, he actually practices his race start a little bit and now makes his way down towards turn number 9 to go on to a qualifying lap. As he rolls his way into turn number 9, it is the case. He heads on through, gets a really nice exit there, brings the car into the centre of the road, as is the straightest way to head up towards turn number 1, and now brings it over to left to get ready to break into turn 1. Breaking the 100 metre board here, coming down the gearbox and rolling the car through in 3rd or 4th gear. And as he makes his way up the hill, out of Paddock Hill Bend, up into Druids, breaking the 50 metre board, rolling the car in down to 2nd gear, looking to get a nice tight run through the apex. He does so, and now charging down the hill. Little bit of snap oversteer on exit there with those sports tyres. He comes into turn 3, into Graham Hill Bend. Early apex there, takes a bit of apex curve to pull the car round. And as he makes his way up towards 4 Surtees, he'll be looking to now try and find a way to get a nice late apex. Does he? Understeers a little bit wide. That's going to cost him about 2 temps in the run to Hawford's Score. You can just see the car didn't want to bite in the nose to the corner edge. Just a bit of understeer. I think a bit too much roll bar on the front of the car. And as they make their way now down up towards Hawford's Corner here, can he recover it in the latter half a lap? Braking about 75 metres, rolling the car on in and gets a nice apex, but again just a little bit of oversteer there on exit, and it just hurts him as we see parts of circuit. That is both previous Tiger Hayes and also GTD's Mickey. I think they've both been involved in some sort of incident, unless I'm very much mistaken. I think in fact we've got another driver off. 3 drivers have been involved in some sort of contact. Well, that will have to be deciphered after qualifying. But right now, ZFS Tiger bringing this lap back together as we see Stardust there going slowly. I think he's on a hard tyre as they make the way down towards turn number 9. It is the case that right now, ZFS Tiger, he'll get the slipstream coming out of this corner. Actually help him a little bit here, recover some lap time as he makes his way all the way to the end of the lap. And what will it be for ZFS Tiger as he comes across the line? A 35.5, and that'll put him P5. Well, I think that's qualified complete, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody else out there on a scuppered lap, but it is the case. Taking pole is the RSS Nixo 09 by 3 tenths ahead of the GTV representative of GTY Oxan from Turkey, and then we have the South African of GTV Haraka there ahead of GXF's Victor quadruple 0, and then we do have ZFS Tiger P5, GTV's at 772, P6, Prima Stardust P7, Terrasta P8, Prix Sports' Tiger Hayes P9, and then GTD at Mickey 2714 P10. I think there was a bit of an instant between the last 3 on the grid, which saw their lap times end in tatters, but now the race is about to begin. So as we pan down to the grid for the final time tonight, is the case we very quickly have to jump out of our own BMW M4, and we'll make sure to get out of that before it compromises anybody's race. It is the case we now await the countdown. Let's lights out, away we go here for our final race of this evening in Group B's round 3 in the Colin Turkington tribute. And as they make their way down to turn number 1, and Nixo there defends the inside as he has the right to do so. Meanwhile, Oxad goes on the pursuit. Haraka backs out for P3. They're trying to hold the rest of the field at bay as they make their way up into turn number 2 into Druid. Haraka goes defensive here, and you can see Victor trying to go around the outside. Meanwhile, behind the Prix Sports drivers get a better start this time. Tiger Hayes and also behind Stardust, P7, P8 as they roll the way down into turn number 3. And as they do, Seb makes his way up a position already and goes up into P8, then gets the move on Stardust, coming down into Graham Hill Bend. Very tricky place to go for an overtake, but he finds it. Turbo Rasta now dives to the inside of ZFS Tiger as they make their way through Surtees, and Turbo Rasta now pushing on as we bring the data up on screen for you, ladies and gentlemen. And it is the case that you can keep track of our drivers on the left hand side, as we can see Turbo Rasta trying to charge on here after a difficult qualifying session. He's trying to turn it around in the race. He's doing so well so far. He's already gained 3 places as he makes his way through Hawthorns and heads down towards what is Westfield Bend. But as he comes on through here, we can see Victor putting the pressure on Haraka, and Haraka this time really established himself as acts as a little bit of a rear guard for Oksana, I believe. But as he makes his way through turn number 7, you can see the 2 leaders who are, to be fair, on a different level of pace compared to the rest of the field. Haraka right now really the best of the rest and trying to keep Victor and Turbo Rasta at bay. One thing we do know about Haraka is that he can run to a very considerate and also consistent pace. He's also very good at time management, and that could help him here with a good starting position, given how hard it is to overtake at Brands Hatch. But as they come on through, we do see into the pits. There comes ZFS Tiger. He comes in, and he's going to come off the hard tyre and go straight onto what we would suspect would be the medium for a lap if his previous race strategies are to go by. Previous Stardust coming off the hard here, and we can also see GTD's and Mickey. They go for the tyre change, each of the 3 drivers. The Stardust who comes out on the medium, Mickey comes out on the medium as well, and Zutiez goes to the medium but puts the fuel in. So here's the case, and I think I can see what he's doing here. He's decided to give himself track position, because look at the gap he's given himself to the 2 drivers ahead. It's 2.3 seconds. He'll never close that over 1 or 2 laps unless they have a disastrous lap. So therefore he's given himself clear space. He's not in a battle. This could really work out well for the Dutchman. But meanwhile, we see in the battle for P8 right now, well, already the GTD driver of Mickey 2714 gets him very close to the back of Stardust here. Would he go for the move down into Surtees Court? He's going to look for it here. He's got a really strong run, and as he makes his way on in, Stardust goes a bit deep but keeps it on track. And right now Mickey up in position, but meanwhile we cut to Seb here, who's down in P7, and right now it is the case that the Frenchman trying to fly on with Tiger Hayes as well in P6. And then we do look a bit further up here as we do see that freeway battle for P3. They come roaring on down, and it is the situation. Turbo Rasta closed up behind Victor, and as they roll their way up into turn number 8 at this point, it is the case where they're all set in purple sectors right now, because it is lap number 2. Of course, lap number 1 a much slower lap because it's from a standing start by comparison with them now being up to full speed. But it's battle for P3 staying as it was at the start of this lap by the end of the lap, but the leaders meanwhile are 2.8 seconds clear. But unless I'm very much mistaken, I think it's the case that Oxan has taken a bit of a fallback from the leader as they all make their way onto lap number 3. And in fact, that battle for lead now spaced out by 1.3 seconds as Seb72 comes on into the pits off of the hard tyre. He's decided to run the hard for 2 laps and then come on in, and meanwhile Oxan here just focusing, I think, on putting those laps together. We do know he's going for a bit of a fuel saving approach in that BMW M4 compared to Nixo, who's going all in. And will Nixo decide to play it safe and go for a 2-stop, or will he decide to risk it all and try and make it 4 wins out of 4 by going for the 3-stop, which has proven very effective, particularly in race number 2. We saw a huge gap. He won in the end by I think it was over 9 seconds through the 3-stop. And right now Nixo definitely trying to make it another win to his tally, and that will give a huge amount of ranking points. Indeed, his team a huge amount of points going into the summer break, as Oxan here keeping the body for the time being, but Haraka holding up Victor and Turbo Rasta at bay here. And actually that gap is gradually opening up a little bit. It's now opened up to 6.5 temps, so it does look as though the GTE driver here, as we go deeper into the compound, he does have that ability to protect the tyre a lot more. We talked about this earlier, and he's extracting the pace he needs out of it. And this is impressive stuff from the GTB driver, who's had a very difficult night, to be fair. And we see Turbo Rasta there decide to do a little bit of rallycross coming out of Sheen Curve before bringing himself back onto the road. He just straight lined it there, which is what you need to do when you run wide at Sheen Curve. You don't want to try and turn the car back onto the circuit, because it will cause the rear to kick up and it will cause the car to go into the tyre barrier. And well, our marshals down there will know all about it when it goes horribly wrong. But right now, Turbo Rasta trying to give pursuit, but Victor and Haraka are keeping him at bay. You can see as they make the one to lap number 4, no change as Tiger Hayes here in P6 also tries to stay with them. After making that pit stop at the end of lap number 2, 772 coming back out of P7. He's now gone from the hard to what we believe is the medium tyre, and he's got an advantage of 8.5 tenths ahead of Prix Sports' Stardust as they make the one to another lap. But Stardust is closing here little by little, and then we do have GTD's and Mickey 2714 P9, and then ZFS Tiger here, who's gone for another pit stop, I do believe, unless it's just gone horribly wrong. I think he has taken a second stop, and now he's on the soft to go to the end. Albeit he will have to go to the pits for a bit of fuel and put another set of soft tyres, but that free stop could work a treat here for the Dutchman. But as we look back to our leaders, they've rolled their way through a turn at number 5 through Hawthorns, and Nixo goes a little bit wide there almost, but he brings it back together. And the ERS driver here, he is opening a gap, but then it is being closed up a little bit. He's just putting himself under a lot of pressure. I think he's actually putting himself under unnecessary pressure, because Oxan right now is doing a good job here trying to close the gap. You can see he's holding the gap around 1.2 to 1.3 seconds, but he doesn't have enough to be able to bring that gap down completely. I think what it is, the ERS driver Nixo is worried that the GTB representative behind him is being able to save a lot more fuel, and we've seen that as they make their way into the pits here, well, they're both coming in and they're going to come off the soft, I believe. Yeah, they both come off the soft. In fact, it's the leader who has 1 litre more fuel. Now, Haraka comes on in, Victor stays out, and Turbo Rasta comes in as well. We've also got Tiger Hayes making the play. It is literally festival season down at the pit lane, and you're invited, as is the case. The pit crews all going hard to work, and as they service the cars here, we do see it is the case that Haraka back out in P2. He's jumped as well up the order there, but a bit of a different strategy, and Nixo comes out just ahead of Turbo Rasta, and Turbo Rasta goes wide there at Paddock Hill Bend and loses the rear end, but keeps it together just out the wall. But Oxan's going to look for the move up the inside. It's a bit of a dive there, and it's a bit of a push. I think that might go to the stewards post-race, but the pass has been made, and Rasta being knocked about right now, as we see Tiger Hayes also trying to come through for Prix Sports, but Rasta isn't letting this one go. The INCR driver is not going to be used as a punching bag, he says, and as he makes his way out of turn number 3 and up towards 4, you can see a flash of lights there from Tiger Hayes, who dives to the inside here. Turbo Rasta, I think, is going to have to give this one up and look for the run down to Hawthorns if he can get it, but Tiger Hayes gets it hooked up on corner exit there, and Turbo Rasta, well, it was looking to be a good exit out of the pit and a good run, but now he's dropped all the way from battling for what was at the time P3. He's dropped all the way down to P6, and that is going to hurt him massively. One mistake has literally led to a domino effect of incidents, and now he's fighting for P5 versus Prix Sports' Tiger Hayes. As further back, you can see 772 in the rear of your picture, coming through P7. And then we do have Mickey a bit further back. We look back up here to what is the battle for P3 between the two GTB drivers of Oxan and also Haraka here. And Haraka on a different strategy, to be fair, compared to Oxan. I don't think he'll put up too much of a fight here. I think he'll try and help his teammate out with a little bit of a slipstream run down towards turn 1, but then peel out the way as Victor into the pit, and he will release Nixo back into the lead. But to be fair, Victor deciding to do these longer opening stints of the soft tyre, and they've worked very well. He now goes to the hard for a lap here. Does he come out and clear traffic? Oh, it's going to be so close. He's side by side with Oxan. He's going to hold the inside line here, and Victor battling side by side. This could be critical for his opportunity to come home in P3. He's come out ahead of Haraka. He's going to battle for this, but Oxan goes around the outside. There's a little bit of attack from Haraka here on the back of Victor, but it is the case that the Polishman has jumped ahead of Haraka, but they are in different strategies, we have to point out. So right now we'll wait to see how this plays out in the long term, but Victor definitely throwing a spanner in the works for GTB. He's managed to get himself between the two drivers, although Oxan's already made the switch with Haraka. We said it was going to happen down the start finish straight. It happened off camera, but I can tell you from the commentary before I saw it happen. And oh, goodness me, Haraka with an off there. What was the exit of Surtees? I think he ran a bit wide and the car turned in towards the inside of the track. It is the case that Haraka now dropping back, and it has not been his night, and we said that earlier, and in race number 4 it's still not been his night. And I think the South African driver at this point will be thinking, what do I have to do to have an instant free race? Well, sometimes that's the way the luck goes, and Haraka's night really the one with the bad luck, but he'll be fighting on still. I'm sure he'll keep his head up and keep pushing on, because there's still a top 5 there if he keeps his head together. And now Turbo Rasta will smell there's blood in the water and will go chasing after that P4 position, as the Italian has had a difficult race for as well. But as he makes his way around, and tell you that episode 2 right now up to P6 ahead of Mickey here in P7 from GTD. We then have ZFS Tiger here, who's on the double stint in the softs. He's looking for the move for P7. He needs to gain these places, and the thing with his strategy, it's all about overtaking. And and he's gambling on a circuit where it's very tight. As we see there, coming into the pits, that's Mickey. There's contact between the two of them, as it's the case. We've also got their Turbo Raster in. Mickey coming off of mediums, and Victor there having fuel going in the car. Turbo Raster will have fuel going in the car, but it'll be Victor who we're most concerned about. Where will he come out in relation to everyone when he finishes? I think we've had everybody come on past right now, so here's the case. This is going to be a very long stop, and as they've shortly finished servicing the car, we're waiting to see when they're done. They're done now, and they release him with a full fuel tank, and he'll be coming back out in what will be a P8, and Turbo Raster will come out a bit further back. He's fueled about the same, to be fair, as the Italian, and then it will be Mickey who goes onto a set of softs here for the rest of the race. They're all now going to push on to the end. Where will the rest of the pit stops lead to drivers dropping out in all of this? We will find out over the next 3 laps or so, as right now our race leader of Nixo, you're looking at him in the situation here, the ERS Nixo, he's looking good right now. He's really attacking the circuit, and to be fair, he is putting in lap after lap. The man is a machine right now, and credit to him. He is 5.3 seconds clear of GTTY's Oxan, but to be fair, I think part of that gap, about 2 seconds of that gap, has been opened up due to Oxan having to battle versus what was Victor for that P2 position, and that really did hurt Oxen's strategy, as Haruka right now P3 ahead of Step 72, and you can see here is the case that ZFS Tiger pushing on and charging after Step 72 here. He's got to give it everything to come home another top 5, and he is giving it everything, there's no doubt about that, as Haruka into the pit, and since he is as well, ZFS Tiger into the pits. We see also Seb into the pit, and he comes off a set of softs now to go to another set of softs, and meanwhile Haruka and Seb, I believe, will be going to the soft tyre for the conclusion of this race. So it'll be very nip and tuck between them. But meanwhile, Prima Stardust coming on through, as we can see Tiger Hayes, his teammate, coming into the pits with no fuel in the car. He's literally had to lift and coast the car into the pit lane, but it is the case that Stardust here pressing on and taking the alternate strategy. And where is Victor? Well, Victor's coming on through here. Haruka coming out the pit, and Haruka with that one moment coming out of turn number 4, he'd be right alongside Victor right now, and that is the difference. That one mistake that the GTB driver, you can see why he's in the rear of the picture as a result of it. And speaking of the rear of the picture, here's Seb having to defend for GTB versus Turbo Raster, as the INCR driver is going to try and go around the outside of Druids. It's a very hard move to make, and as they make the way out of Druids, there's no change, but Seb here covers off the middle of the road. Turbo Raster gives him a little bit of a tap on the rear, nothing too bad about it, and as they roll their way out of turn number 3 and up towards 4, you can see Seb 72 under major pressure here, and as they come through the corner and head up towards what is turn number 5 in quick succession, and right now Seb definitely under that pressure to try and hold on, but will he be able to? That will be the big question, that will be the big challenge in his mind as he comes roaring on down into Hawthorne's quarter, which is looking good so far, but can he bring it all the way through as our leaders are into the pit, and that's Nixo09 and Oxan from GTBE, but right now we're looking to hear at Seb 72, who's got a huge number of drivers behind him, all on fresher tyres, all trying to find the way through, and there is no way. In fact, I think he's actually on an outlap, so he's on fresh tyres as well, and it is the case right now. Seb doing everything right as Nixo has completed his pit stop. He's put the fuel in the car. Oxander's under fuel to try and close the gap or jump ahead, but it's not worked out as Prima Stardust is into the pits here, but we can see it is the case that behind Turbo Raster having to go a little defensive versus ZFS Tiger, who's in P8, the Dutchman, as they roll their way out of turn number 9 and they go on to the start finish straight, and ZFS Tiger looking for the move here. Can he go for it into turn 1? Well, Raster will think he's too far ahead for the move to go ahead, and as they come in to the opening corner, no change now, but Tiger takes a bit more apex curve there to try and push the car through. Turbo Raster bounces over the exit curve, oh goodness me, and there's a bit of contact there with ZFS Tiger, and Turbo Raster just losing the car, and he's carried it back together enough, but is there damage to both cars? Hopefully not for both drivers, but it is the case that Turbo Raster loses the place under pressure through Paddock Hill Bend, and GTD's Mickey 2714 right now, the Italian driver, we're looking to try and get past his fellow countryman, but can he find a way through? That's the question. And Turbo Raster goes deep. The answer is yes, he can find a way through, and it didn't take too long for him to do it. And I think it's the case. Turbo Raster just a bit unsettled right now as Mickey are pushing on for that P6 pursuit as they make their way down through Pilgrim's Drop. But meanwhile, Green Resports here, P9, P10, that's Tiger Hayes and Stardust together, and well, right now they're pushing on and hoping to pick up the pieces of others' races as they roll their way on through here on lap number 9. But as we look to our leader here, Nixo, despite the fact that Oxan decided to underfuel to try and get the jump on him, Nixo just pressing on here in dominant form to the end of this race. 3.1 seconds is the gap, and it's opening up, and then Oxan in P2, and the gap between them and the driver's behind almost 20 seconds already. Let that just sink in. That is the gap. Our top two have pulled over the rest of the field. Now, whether there's another pit stop at play with all that, we'll have to wait and see. But even then, to open up that much of a gap here based on strategy and pace, that's phenomenal. And speaking of phenomenal, Haruka's going to look for the move on Victor into turn one. And Haruka here coming back, to be fair. It is the case. The South African driver here, after what was a dismal moment earlier in the race, he's coming through, but there's a bit of contact there. Oh, goodness me. And Haruka sent across the road. And, well, I'm not sure whether there was definitely contact there, but I'm not sure whether some of the latency in the lobby was also a bit of the cause of that. As we see here is the case of Victor now out of position, and ZFS Tiger is going to say, well, thank you very much. If you're going to give one another the knock around, I'm going to knock my way up the order here. And the Dutchman up to P4. Keep in mind, of course, he started right towards the back of the field. He came out the pits after laps 1 and 2, went into the pits on laps 1 and 2 at the back of the field, and now he's back in P4 here, chasing down Seb 72 with 2.5 laps to go. He wants to get another podium if he can, and Victor here having to go defensive versus Haruka, who's trying to come through. And Haruka, of course, after that contact between the two of them, he's not happy. He wants to come on back for P5 into what is Westfield Bend they go, and Victor, they're shutting the door firmly as they make their way up towards Sheen Curve here, and Haruka's going to have to try and find another place to go for the move as GTD's Mickey 2714 is closing up as well. But Victor there getting a poor run, and as they make the way into turn number 8, right now the Polishman here really under pressure from Haruka. Haruka all over the back of him, but of course the change here at Brands Hatch overtaking. You need to be brave on the brakes and have a lot of pace to go for a move. And right now Haruka is definitely brave on the brakes, but he doesn't quite have that momentum to go for it as they make their way across the timing line here with 2 laps remaining on the countdown. As they make the way for it, here's the case that Victor here covers off the middle of the road. There's a tap to the rear there between the two of them. Again, was it latency contact? Was it a direct knock? We're not 100% sure. That'll be dissected after the race. I'm sure that Haruka back up into P5 after the incident occurred at this corner on the previous lap. The elbows are coming out a little bit between the drivers, and as they make their way on down and around right now, we can see in the battle for P3, well, here is the chaser. That is, of course, the ZFS Tiger, and here is the one who's being pursued, the one who's being hunted, GTV's Step 72, who right now wants to try and hold off the Dutchman with only 1.5 laps to go. Can he hold on for a podium here, or will it be the case that the Dutchman is able to take it away from him come the final lap? It will come down to one more lap after this. We'll wait and see. Our leaders, meanwhile, separated by about 5 seconds at this point. It's Nixo leading Roxanne, and then they have a 19-second advantage over the rest of the field. They've run off into distance and said their goodbyes, and that's the case of who will be on the podium with them at the end of race number 4, as into the pits comes Nixo to change away from the medium to the hard tyre. They both double stinted the leaders from what was they've double stinted on the soft. They've also taken a stint on the medium, and now they're going to the hard. But it is the case that Seb here really trying to push on as Nixo comes out the pit, and Oxan will keep pursuit with him very shortly. But Seb doing everything right now to hold on to that P3 as they go into the final lap. The white flag is out, and by the end of this lap, as Haruka comes into the pits, unfortunately, we thought he was going to be hanging on in there, but Haruka into the pit, and that's going to drop him a long way down the order. And can Victor hold on to P5 here and bring home a top 5 finish in race 4, or will GTD's at Mickey 2714 be able to upset the apple cart as they make the way into Druids, where he gets very close under braking, but no way through at this time. Meanwhile, we can see here the Dutchman of ZFS Tiger closing ever more to the back of Step 72, but the gap holding at 7/10 of a second as they come charging out of turn number 3 and up into 4. Victor here giving it that pursuit, and meanwhile having to hold off Mickey in the meantime as they make their way into the corner. He goes a bit deep, but Mickey follows him in there. I think just, there's a bit of contact between the two of them there, and Victor holds the position, but a small knock to the rear of the Polish driver's car. And now this will be the opportunity for the Italian to go for the move as they head through Pilgrim's Drop. He looks inside, but he's not close enough. He has to tuck back in here. The only other overtaking place surely will be the final corner. We'll have to wait and see. But meanwhile, we look to our leader as he makes way out of turn number 8, and as he heads towards the final corner. This has been dominant form. It was 3 out of 3 when we took the checker flag last time. He's going to make it 4 out of 4. For as he comes out the final corner in emphatic style, it is going to be Iris Nixo09 who takes the win in race 4 here at Brands Hatch by 11.5 seconds ahead of GTTY's Oxan, representing GTB. The Turkish driver threw everything at the Polishman, but nothing has worked, and he's had to settle for best the rest in P2. As behind, it will be GTB 772 who holds onto the podium ahead of ZFS's Tiger. And then we have Victor, who holds on for GXF to P5 ahead of GTD's Mickey 2714. And that will be Prix Sports' Tiger Hayes, who crosses the line out of fuel ahead of Turbo Rasta, Prima Stardust, and GTV Haraka to complete our finishing positions for race number 4. Well, my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, what a brilliant race to conclude proceedings on. Indeed, battles up and down the field, some strategies upset by some close contacts, but overall I think fantastic racing. And despite the technical limitations that Gran Turismo 7 has presented, it is the case that GT Fusion, the story has continued here tonight, and in Group B in round number 3 the racing has been at its very best, as it always is in this second split. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is the case that now our drivers are settling down and packing up their bags, because the summer holidays now await them. And all we'd like to say is, with that, thank you very much for watching. And if you do want to know more about GT Fusion in terms of the series we run, the championships, and general alternatively how you can get involved or sponsor the series, why not check us out at our official website? That is, of course, www.gtfusion.org. Alternatively, you can go to our official Twitter at twitter.com/GTfusionGT. Or last but not least, you can go to our Facebook page. That is facebook.com/GTfusion.eu. And also a big thank you to our partners, without whom it would not be possible to bring you this series, in particular Excite there and their website excite.be. And indeed, if you're looking for the ultimate sim racing to real driver experience, you definitely get in touch with Excite. But now, as we say, our drivers will be packing up their suitcases and going on summer holiday, because it is the case that we will be back in September for round number 4. Save the weekend of Friday the 16th through to Sunday the 18th of September. That's when we'll be going racing once again in hopefully improved lobbies by the time we do get back. A few updates are on the way for Gran Turismo 7 between now and then. But until then, thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We have been GT Fusion. This has been round 3 of the GT Fusion Team World Championship for 2022. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain of Spit. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.